Welcome back, cover junkies, to the show where we don the battle jacket of 1,000 covers and sally forth to fight the Gornak, bringing artistic knowledge back to all the land.
Yes.
For all the
That's
land.
right, folks. For the land.
Artistic knowledge.
That was not a fart. That was actually a battle horn, folks.
That was a
in case you didn't know.
There was a
with
large
me.
I have all
horn.
sorts of horns. I have a variety of horns just sitting around my apartment.
I'm
Some
telling you,
horns
the
you blow
Pistachio
on.
Mansion
He's
is a
a
real
horny
place.
guy.
Some horns you drink out of.
Yeah,
know.
you get a
Just-
horn for every occasion.
Yeah. Just imagine Guillermo del Toro's house, but smaller and cummier.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of pistachios, with me on this ride, folks, is the pistachio paragon and acrylic craftsman, the Brengeneer. As well as...
You just sacrificed an animal.
I'm just gonna put that away now.
the bulwark of ballpoint pen, the shining dome known as inks.
So
Yes,
shiny. So chrome.
I do wax the dome.
It bedazzles. It bedazzles, folks. All right? When he sweats,
I got a
it's like
lamp
little
right behind
diamonds.
me right now. And I'm just like this glowing halo.
So, folks, if you don't know, this show is all about different types of art and artists done through the cover world, done through the medium of cover art. We call the cover the portal, and that sucks us to all sorts of amazing places, amazing types of art. All right? That's what we want. That's what we crave. Okay? And we have a fantastic interview for you tonight.
Oh.
We're so excited.
So fun.
But before we get into it, what happens when you take a piece of art, a cover, and you shrink it down to the size of a coaster, and then with your own hands,
Witchcraft.
you stitch that cover onto your jacket? Well, folks,
Coverception.
you get a patch. You get what's known as a patch. Now, we have had a fascination with patches for a while. And the Brengeneer especially has really wanted to find someone to talk to about patches.
I have a pretty good collection at home.
I got a nice collection of
my
It's
collection.
no big deal.
My collection.
I'd wear them.
Pales in comparison to one certain gentleman.
Yes.
A real fine southern gentleman.
Yes.
From Texas.
Ken.
Right.
You might know him, folks,
Tell us a bit more.
from our final Fantasy February episode, Mike Greylord.
Yes.
Mike Greylord.
That's right. We inducted him
Yes.
into the cult.
We did.
That's right.
He's one of our cultists. He's one
yes.
of our ride or die cover warriors.
His
And-
cloak is covered in patches.
Yes.
Covered.
He is a patch artist wizard, folks. It just so happens Mike has a wealth of knowledge on patches, making them, designing them. He's made several himself, and he's just an incredibly creative individual.
Yeah.
And
not just that, and not just those things. He's a musician.
Yes.
He designs. He does design work for album covers for bands.
Yeah.
He's a collagist.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a
brushes
collagerist.
come in all sizes and shapes. You don't have to just use acrylics. You don't have to just use inks. You don't have to just use oil. You can paint with other pieces of artwork. You can paint with stitches, and that's what Mike Greylord does.
That's right, folks. And so for this episode, absolutely go to our website, coverdecoder.com.
Oh, yeah.
Find the episode, open the link to our slideshow, because you're going to want to see the slides. You're going to want to see his art.
Yeah. It actually works on Spotify, too. If you're listening on Spotify, I figured that out the other day.
Amazing.
That was awesome. I was like, hey, look at there. How convenient.
Suck yourself right into the cover portal with us, folks. So, yeah, and
Get
stick around
sucked.
after the show because we also have some awesome Patreon rewards we want to drop on you guys.
Announcement zone.
There's some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline for Patreon, but we'll get into that later. For now, I want you to sit back in your cover seat. I want you to hit hyperdrive on your art button and prepare yourself for an amazing interview with Mike Greylord. Vitus 1 to Omen, we have confirmation. Roger that, Vitus. We read you loud and clear. Citizens of the world, this is a momentous occasion. The alien craft is now entering the Earth's atmosphere. What is this being's purpose? Why has it come? Gods of Coverdom, the ship is descending. It's in the shape of a gigantic bass guitar. A ramp is descending from the input jack. The president is going to meet the being. It's holding out its hands. Holy Frazetta, would you believe it? It's a never-before-seen backpatch of Ozzy sledding through a mound of cocaine. It's raising its hands to the sky. It's raining vintage backpatches. The countries of the world have denuclearized and are declaring world peace. Who is this being responsible for this memorabilia magic? It's Mike Greylord, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Mike.
I hope I can live up to
Welcome to
that.
the show.
Yeah.
All the intros are always like the best part.
Rain patches
So
down.
Thank you.
That's right. Well,
was
you are the
killing me.
Patch Lord to us. And so
Yep.
it's only fitting that we ride out in style and deliver
Absolutely.
some patches to the world.
Got to. There
Yeah,
need to be
dude,
more
we're so-
patches in the world.
I know.
There needs to be.
Nobody.
But it's almost good that there's not, though. It's almost good that people are,
Yeah.
like, trading them, like, under, like, in dark alleyways.
Yeah,
coming
how
out of sewer
devastating.
vents.
How devastating would it be if the Kardashians had patches on their jackets? Like, how devastating and uncool would it become?
You'd
They
see a lot
do.
more Gary Holt shirts
Yeah.
because that's what we need. Yeah.
That was a total blow. Like, it seemed like everyone freaked out when which Kardashian was it with the Slayer shirt? I remember everyone flipped out.
No, I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you the names of
I
most
gotta
of
burn
them,
my
man.
Slayer stuff
She
now.
can't wear a Slayer shirt. How dare she?
You
Was like,
were doing a Tom Hanks. You can't wear that.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe
come
she's a
on.
fan.
The Slayer shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, God
Raining
forbid
Blood's
Slayer.
like my
Slayer of
favorite.
all bands you can't wear.
yes. No.
So, Mike,
Yo.
as you may or may not be familiar with, the interview is important, but what's more important are these questions that we're about to ask you.
All right.
All right?
Down
This
for some
is the real
questions.
stuff.
I
Good.
could talk for
Yes.
hours, so cut me off if I start talking too much.
Oh, we
Oh
won't.
yeah. No, we're
not.
here to capture and bottle all of your essence.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
we're gonna sell your essence. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
That
If
way
you can obtain
people
it
will have
properly,
your patch magic.
Hey, come on, pal. I got the pure Greylord. Come on.
Yeah, man, this is
Come on.
unrefined.
Come on. Take a snap.
Unrefined.
Speaking of pure Greylord, who is in your music supergroup?
Music supergroup.
Yeah, who's your traveling Woolburys?
And now this transcends
Like, okay.
time and death. Like
Yes, correct.
Okay.
anyone.
They can come back from the grave for a day.
So I used to make these, like, I still kind of do. I have like a list of like dream bands and dream tours, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
One band that I really want to hear is okay. So obviously everyone here likes Bathory, right? Everybody.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
All right. So middle era Bathory is my favorite. All the Viking stuff. But,
Yeah.
I really want to hear Korthon with a proper drummer. I love the drum machine. Don't get me wrong. I love everything about those. But I want to hear Scott Columbus from Manowar playing the Bathory songs. Because, like, Korthon can say he doesn't listen to Manowar all he wants. Everybody knows he listened to Manowar.
No,
you listen to Blood on Ice.
Yeah,
it's a Manowar album.
Hammerheart. Straight up.
Yeah,
that's Manowar songs right there.
And it's all in the drums too. So it's like,
yeah,
that's the vibe. So you just get Scott Columbus on drums, and then I just totally blanked out on his name. The bass player from Enslaved.
Oh yeah.
I want him because I want that, like, I still want that, black metal like vibe, and just Enslaved at the time. So this would have to be like early '90s. It would be
that guy has a great voice too.
Oh yeah, and then like backups. Could you imagine them doing duos together or melodies? Dude. No, that's an unreal band. And so that's definitely one of them.
What's the name of it? What would you call it?
You could just call it Bathory. I don't really care. Like, there's no sense in changing it. If they could just keep the style,
the remix.
Badathery.
As that's like, that'd be good, pretty good. Badathery. I mean, I wouldn't know what to call band names because Korthon just is on like a next level as far as writing and all his storytelling. So I'm sure he could figure that out. I'll let him figure that one out.
For sure.
So as far as like metal goes, I'd really want to hear that. I was talking to Vidar about that the other day, and I was like, I would want to see like Korthon and Joey DeMeo in the same band, but we know at that time like Joey DeMeo just couldn't be in a band with anybody else that wasn't in Manowar. So I'll let Korthon handle that.
Not enough oil.
Scott Columbus. I don't know. Oh, he had those early Bathory shots where he's just like pouring Jack Daniels all over himself. Same thing.
With the stomach shirt and the chicken bones.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's the same vibe.
No, Korthon, you're supposed to breathe the fire, not light yourself on the fire. That's not how it works.
Next question.
Next.
Okay. If you could only listen to these groups, what would it be? You have Van Hagar, that Van Halen, Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
Blaze Bailey Maiden, or Tim Owens, Judas Priest.
Okay. Okay. Caveat to this: if I pick Tim Owens, Judas Priest, do I get his live material? Because they did live albums and a live DVD. Do I get that?
I think that's fair.
Does that count?
I think it's got to be all the material.
Okay, because I'm probably going to get some flack for this. All right. But if you watch the video, I forgot whatever, it was like the Demolition Tour or whatever. There's a video and it's him singing The Ripper, like obviously where he gets his nickname or whatever. And it sounds insane because he's channeling Halford and he's channeling like King Diamond all in one. And it's mind boggling.
Yes.
Like the dude, you could talk however much you want about the guy, the vocal prowess on those live Priest tracks, man. It's nuts. So,
well, I gotta agree, because there's no denying the guy can sing. Like, he's got some insane pipes.
Yeah, the problem is that those riffs were just bad. Like, those two albums he's on, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna try this," and it's like, you tried the wrong thing. So
the '90s were a wasteland.
It was a cruel era
for a lot of things.
It was really cruel to the big bands. Like, there's a lot of bands that were chugging along, but the big bands who were like, "Oh, we need to," like y'all were talking about grunge earlier. It's like they were like, "Oh, we gotta try to do something different and stuff." And there's a handful of bands that I think worked in the '90s, like as far as bigger ones go. I really like Anthrax '90s stuff, like Sound of White Noise. Whenever they went like that kind of alternative grunge, I was like, that album kills. Like, it's John Bush from, Armored Saint.
Armored Saint,
It's a fantastic album. I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. Like,
yes!
I'll go to blows about Sound of White Noise.
Right.
I don't care.
Well, speaking of going into battle, my question is, what mount would you ride into battle after someone dissed your music choices?
A rhinoceros?
Yes.
Can I pick
Ooh,
that?
Oh, yes.
solid
Right
choice.
on. Sure.
Straight Donkey
I want
Kong.
rhinoceros. Like, rhinoceros is the coolest thing.
Level 1 of Donkey Kong.
That's a band right there, Rhinoceros Rider.
Rhinoceros
quick answer.
Rider. Yeah.
That was a quick answer. You've been thinking about that one for a while.
Yeah, it's been on the mind. I was listening to, not to plug another
your
podcast, but I was listening to another podcast the other day.
Sure,
and they were talking about the Imaro. I don't know if y'all are familiar with, like, sword and sorcery stuff.
Oh, yes.
Imaro's, he was, Charles Saunders wrote him. He died last year. And they were doing like a big in memoriam type thing and talking about Imaro. And there's like stuff in the book where he's just riding rhinoceros because it takes place in Africa. And it's like, that's the coolest thing. Like, yeah, like, Conan, he's said he looks like a panther or whatever, but Amaro's just actually riding a rhinoceros, like, into battle. And it's like, that's the coolest thing. I don't care. What's more menacing than a rhino?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a huge spear on its nose. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
for sure.
That's awesome.
Covered in armor or what? Who even cares? It's not covered in armor. You don't want to be in front of that thing. You're
No.
going to get your ass crushed.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
like in the Black Panther movie, whenever they actually
I was
have
gonna
all
say,
the
Black
armored,
Panther movie,
all the
that was
armored rhinos,
ill.
like, that's the coolest. You can't touch
Dude,
that.
yeah.
There's nothing better.
That was a little boy moment right there where you're like,
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of riding your rhino around town, you're getting hungry.
All right.
You're gonna take your rhino through a drive-through. And what better drive-through to go through than a local favorite named the Whataburger?
Oh,
Now,
love
what do you
Whataburger.
order? What combo do you order at the Whataburger?
That's a good question too. The easy answer is a number 2 with spicy ketchup.
Ooh, baby.
But
Dude,
they
something about
recently,
their ketchup.
Oh, the spicy ketchup's the best.
Leave it out in the sun or something.
But they recently rolled out a chicken sandwich. I guess like everyone's
Really?
doing chicken sandwiches now.
Damn,
I
haven't.
I had no idea, and I was just rolled up on one day because my wife and I were going somewhere, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I got
What is
one.
up? What is up, girl?
Chick-fil-A is good, but Whataburger, man, oof.
I tell you,
Mike
Killed it.
Inks has been pining. He's been pining because he's just been like, man, I don't even remember what's in the combos.
I don't even remember what. I just remember like
Number
I
2 is just
remember-
a double cheeseburger.
Yeah, it's a double. So if y'all don't know what Whataburger is, it's actually pronounced what a burger.
Yes.
But it's hard to say that it's Whataburger. And for the longest time, I always thought of it as Whataburger. It is it's if you look at a map, it's clustered around Texas and like a little bit into Alabama and maybe into Arizona, but it's mostly in Texas. It's a favorite. Their color scheme is white and orange. I don't know what's
They
so
look like a
special about them.
traffic cone.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit. It's like, yeah, everyone says like the quotes like Dairy Queen's the Texas stop sign. Nah, it's not.
yeah, it is.
It's Whataburger.
It's Whataburger. Yeah.
I've learned so much about fast food from this show. It's
Oh
great.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah. If you heard the Somber Arcane episode, they talked about Culver's, which I thought Culver's must have been an East Coast thing. I ended up looking it
that's
up.
Central.
I look it up. It's a Midwest thing, and there is one 6-hour drive from us. So we may have to do a Culver quest at some point.
Dude, I looked that up. It's in Idaho.
I have no idea.
It's
what
in
that
Idaho.
is.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. It's probably what Whataburger is for most of the listeners right now.
Probably.
But just know that it comes in crinkly paper. It's
Strips
flat.
grease.
It's flat and wide, and there's a lot of mustard, and there's something about the ketchup they leave out in the sun. Nothing makes ketchup better like hot Texas sun. And they're always in the shittiest shopping malls. If the shittier the shopping mall gets, you know you're coming up on a Whataburger. Just follow the seagulls.
Yeah, speaking of possible collages in your toilet from Whataburger, all you folks listening, you should be following along in the slides. If you're not, you should. Go to slide 3. We're going to take a look at something that you do, which I love.
Yeah,
And
it's incredible.
I made a joke about it, but I was partially serious when I said, when did the pillowcases and sheets come out?
Yeah.
Because,
That
dude.
was the Frazetta one, right? You were talking about?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I would
folks,
wear
we're
the
talking
shit
about
out of
the
this.
collages.
Yes.
Yeah, people seem to really like these, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah, we're talking about the collages that you do on your Instagram. They're incredible. They're works of art in their own. They are a beautiful snapshot of just some of that hot screaming flavor from an era,
So much
from a
flavor.
genre. And Tapes has a couple up here. Like really my favorite one of the two that we've got. And again, folks, you can follow along at our website. There will be a link to these slides. Is the space one? We've got the moon, the glowing moon in the middle with the little Russian cosmonaut. It's not Sputnik.
Yeah, Yuri Gagarin.
Yeah.
First
Yuri.
man in space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just hanging out in his fishing bobber, and then you've got the astronaut right here in the middle, on the moon allegedly, and then behind him
You got some three flappers.
is a
Dude,
melange.
I didn't see the three flappers.
He's got the three flapper classic three flapper alert. Ooh,
Dude, uncircumcised worms coming at you.
and then a melanged out
Yes.
Dunian Iraqian who I can't remember what novel cover it was from, but we did
Dune
see
Messiah,
this one.
I believe. I think
Dune
it's Messiah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then we've got some more astronaut action with
That's
with
from
the moon
Sleep,
lander.
the Sciences.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I recognize that
Yeah.
from.
And to top it all off, there's the healthy dusting of Tang.
Tang!
A Tang
You
at the
gotta
top.
have some Tangs.
We got a healthy dusting of Tang. And then I'm not sure what the symbol is behind the Iraqian, but
Okay,
The-
so I can really break this one down for you.
Please
so this
do.
one is actually based on Ice Files. This is kind of like
sweet.
I think hopefully we'll talk about that later.
oh yes.
And so this is a collage of the inspiration for the track that I did, the Creator's Tomb. And so each
yeah.
of these things is like an element of the story of kind of like what I put into it because of the story that I'm trying to build with that song and going forward. So the whole idea is that there's this guy on Earth and he finds that there's this magical water on the moon that's supposed to able to unlock all the sacred knowledge. And
Magical
yes.
Whataburger.
yeah, it's just spicy ketchup out there.
Yeah, that's it. That moon ketchup.
And so he's I don't want to divulge too much of the really small details because I'm also trying to like write this into like a novel form almost, you know.
Yes.
Breaking news here.
Yeah.
And so he actually gets to the moon and then he finds this mage wizard type person and he gives him the water and then he gets the water and then he ascends to this like ethereal form on the moon. And so
Little din action.
yeah, that kind of stuff, like just, you know, like that whole crazy vibe. And so a lot of the stuff going on here is like you get the Dune stuff because of like the spice melange
Yeah.
Yeah.
for obvious reasons. Tang is like, you know, it's like the spice for our astronauts, right? Same thing.
It's your spice melange.
Yeah, the Tang's just, you know, the best. And then the 2001 stuff on the bottom. And then the
Yeah.
top is obvious. I mean, and then in the background, the colors are from the Stargate scene in 2001.
Right.
Oh,
then,
yeah. There we go.
The symbol up top is from a Boston band called Berserker. And it's spelled B''ZRKER. Yeah, I think that's right. And it's a Boston hardcore band that Jason from Eternal Champion turned me on to. And
Oh, that's
it's
right.
like it's the hardest thing of all time. Like I heard it, I was like, there's no way there's anything better than this. They put out 2 7-inches and appeared to one song on a comp. So they got like 5 songs to the names. But
That's very hardcore right there.
yeah, I know it's the best.
Yeah.
And then so with Ice Files, I wrote that song and then I realized I was like, you know what this sounds like? It sounds like Berserker writing a sleep song because I love sleep. That like
Yeah.
you know, just the slow stuff and so I was like, oh, I just put that on there because it kind of ties it up. I didn't have anything else to go there.
Well, this is such a cool.
awesome.
This is such a cool way, and we were kind of curious, like how this informed your creativity and your creative process, and how these all started. Because you know, we've all seen a lot of collages, and collaging is kind of an interesting art form in of itself. But yours they're really striking and well thought out. Like there's,
I appreciate that.
You know, there's definitely an art form behind them. So honestly, I'm curious. Do you? I feel like obviously you mirror them. You pick certain elements to put in the middle there to split
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a visual mixtape.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a pretty good interpretation of it. The one on the left on the slide is
Yeah.
My favorite.
It's got the omen. It's got
yeah, it's got all the,
The
U.S. power
robot?
metal, and so
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with the website Ride Into Glory. It's
Yeah.
it's like the best like epic metal website going right now, and
Right.
they put out a U.S. power metal primer, kind of a thing, where they were just talking about like U.S. power metal as a scene and everything and all that
Yeah.
the go-to albums, and my buddy Marco put it together. And after I listened to it, it's like an 11-minute video on YouTube. I was like, oh, that's a good inspiration. So I picked like most of, not all of them, but all my favorite albums that I thought would work together for that.
Yeah.
All the really important ones. And
Let's see.
put it together.
Let's see if I can get these. The background is Fate's Warning.
Yeah.
For sure. It's got the gate there. I can't remember the album.
Awaken the Guardian.
Awaken the Guardian. That's right. We got some Riot in there. I'm not gonna get any of the album names right.
Thundersteel.
Yeah, that's right. In the middle, you've got the snake from Omen, Warning of Danger.
Yes.
Of Danger!
So good.
One of my favorite power metal albums ever, which I actually was listening to in the car today, features this robot, Master Control
So
by
good.
Liege
Oh,
Lord.
okay. There it is. Liege
So
Lord. That's
good.
who it is.
I gotta say, though, like, as a drummer, the drumming, or at least the mix of
dude.
the drumming in that album, is the worst thing I've ever heard. And
It's just
you can't
people
even hear
sitting
the
on
tom
whoopee
work or anything.
cushions.
I don't know what's going on with that album, but it still is one of the best things. Now, as for these bottom elements here, the mask and
It looks like it's from the presets. It looks like a mask from the presets. It's so.
Oh,
what is that from?
You guys are
I don't
killing me right now.
yeah, I can't put a name to it, or the warrior on a horse.
All right,
I
so
fail.
we have to stop the podcast right now. You all have to go listen to Crimson Glory. All right. The Midnight, their singer is one of the best singers. Like, if you like Jeff Tate, like ×3, like,
Okay.
listen to Crimson Glory. And then the
Crimson Glory.
the ladies on the horses are like, they're kind of like a Pegasus. That's from Jag Panzer.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Okay. Yep.
So you guys
Awesome.
need to watch the U.S. Primer, U.S. Power
We need
Metal
to
Yes.
watch the
Primer.
primer, man.
I'm not gonna even
We gotta
try.
get
Y'all are like
primed.
speaking in tongues to me right now.
So how does I'm curious, like, this stuff is just, it's candy shop material for us, and I know a lot of people out there, we love seeing it. Where does this, like, creativity come from for you? Where did you, like, get this love of all this stuff?
Like the collage work, or just in general?
Just in
or-
general, yeah, man. Where does all this come from? Did you kind
mean-
of pick it up?
I mean, you can start with the collage if you want. Like, what made you go, I need to visually represent, how I'm feeling right now?
The first one that I did, I think I saw something someone did like an edit of something, and it was like just kind of a mirrored image, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And I was like, I want to do something that looks kind of like that psychedelic trippiness, but with like a heavy metal. And I was on like a big thrash kick at the time. And so the very first one I did had Carnivore Retaliation, Suicidal Tendencies, Join the Army, Nuclear Assault,
Yeah.
and totally blanking on who else I put on there. Oh, Sacred Reich, The American Way. So those like all the stuff that I was just listening to that day. And I was like, it'd be really cool if I could figure this out. And so I was like, I have like this app on my phone, and I'm just messing with it at work, cutting them out, and then placing them together. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, And so I posted it, and then everyone was like, what is this? And I was like, it's a collage. Like, what are you
It's
talking about?
me,
Thing I
bro.
made.
And so
It's me.
everybody was commenting, like, this is the coolest thing in the world. I was like, all right. So I did the next one. I can't remember. Oh, the next one I did was, it was kind of similar to this, where it was like a power metal-y kind of thing. It was like a bunch of people with swords, with like Eternal Champion in the middle, and like Visigoth was on it, and Warlord, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
like,
Yeah.
I like these themes of like make it cohesive, to an extent.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea too of like, I'm not gonna do just something from one band, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna do related threads amongst several bands.
Yeah. And so it's usually like that. And then I did a New York hardcore one. I did a stoner metal one. I did like a bunch of stuff that I was either listening to that day and was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a collage of this because I don't have anything to do at work, or I was just like, oh, you know what would be really cool is if I did something like this. And so like I did some hip hop ones recently. That's because I've been like,
Those were awesome.
I've been on a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
hip hop kick for like the past like 2 weeks. And so I was like, oh, got to do hip hop one, I guess, so I just cranked it out. Trying to think. Yeah. So it's all just picking a style. And then I kind of color correct everything after, like, this particular one looks really blue. And so all the colors in the artwork really lends itself that And so I did some color corrections where I try to make it look a little more uniform, and then add like just a hint of that kind of a wash, basically, in order to really make it like more cohesive.
Well, that's a good point too, because it's true. Like, because even in just the little bit of like photoshopping stuff I've done, when you add things together, they don't have the same lighting or same, I guess, color quality. So do you color edit as you put the layers in, or do you do it all as one piece?
I do it all as one piece because like I'm not selling them as prints. If you really look at them, like they're not perfect. Like you could tell that I'm just dragging stuff with my finger and like popping.
They look pretty damn good to me, Mac. I don't know.
I try my best to get it like, and I'm eyeballing like looking at my phone like.
So you do them on your phone?
Yeah, these are all done on my phone.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
I tell people that and they're like, what? And I'm like,
the sword is tiny, but the might is big.
I've got this app. It's just called I think it's just called photo layers. Like that's what it's called, just photo layers. And it allows you to cut, like add a background and then input whatever you want, erase however much you want. It's got some tools to help with your erasing and stuff. And then you can just drag and drop. The part that I had to like figure out for myself is that you're only allowed to do up to 10 layers on this app. So if you want to do more, I have to like plan it all out on one and try to figure it. And then I have to save the very far background and then play on top. And I can't adjust anything else after that. So it's like, it gets a little nerve wracking for me sometimes, but then I'm like, I'm not selling these. It's not that big a deal. Just post it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But see, that's cool though, that even the thought of like wanting to put something out there that's good, like actually good quality, that's cool, That shows a lot because, that's the difference between, I think, art and then, people just kind of, mucking around is like, even if it's just something for fun, putting something good out there, that's big,
I like the idea of quality, and like with these, I'm representing somebody else's art, and I think that's really important as well. Like,
right.
Yeah, that's
like
a tricky thing.
The one we're looking at right now, like that represents, like, obviously I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but whenever you look at it, it represents U.S. power metal. So it needs to look like it represents U.S. power metal. Because I've seen some other people try to make collages, and it's like just half-assed, for lack of better terms. And
so that's a good one. What makes a bad collage? I mean, obviously,
I think the lack of cohesion. One of the things that I really try to play with is whenever I'm picking albums that need to be on there or bands, I try to pick shapes that work. I visualize in my head, like if you look at how the Greylord cover, how his gun is going up, and I was like, okay, that kind of matches with the Thundersteel robot, and it actually kind of frames it a little bit, so that looks cool. And then figuring out, what's going to be good in the middle. Crimson Glory, it's a really striking image, so I put it there, and then like the Omen snake looks really cool. And whenever I did the attacker, I overlap there, but then if you look, it's actually behind the Thundersteel guy, and so it's like put that little bit of extra thought of like, let's actually make this look presentable. Where I've seen other ones where it's like the cut aren't very close to the shapes, and then there's no balance to it. It's just like splotchy. Like everywhere.
Yeah, they got the bad white lining around it. The bad
just a
white
bit
cutting out.
Yeah.
Oh.
It looks like, like my stuff looks like a high schooler making a college, but these people look like they're like fourth graders making, collages.
There
it's
you
like
go. You've graduated.
They're still using safety scissors, and I'm using like, precise stuff.
You got the exact
yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, you definitely have some excellent compositional skills here. Like,
oh, thanks.
You definitely have the cohesion, and your layouts are sweet.
I took art class from middle school all through high school, so like I have that a little bit of a background in art and like actual doing stuff. I'm not trying to like say I'm any good at it, but I have a good eye for things at times. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, I think so for
putting
sure.
Everything together and stuff like that.
Well, and that's what I was wondering. Like, do you find that these are good exercises? I mean, we're going to get into this a little later, but for your own, are these good warm-ups, good exercises for you?
I think they are. First and foremost, my job can get a little mundane. And so, like, I tend to work really fast. So I have this a little bit of extra time where I'm like, what am I going to do? And so I'll just bust one of these out, and it helps my mind kind of move at work. It breaks it up a little bit because you're looking at how are these going to work together. It's like putting a puzzle together. It's like,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what albums are going to work stylistically, what images are going to work to make a shape. And so it helps break up the monotony of like my regular day. And then, like you said, this little bit of practice is going to go a long way trying to make patches or shirts or anything where you're like, this looks good. And then I get feedback. Like this stuff, I'm not selling. Like I've said, I'm not selling it to anybody. A shirt, I have to sell to somebody. Like you're making a shirt so that someone buys it to support whatever band I'm working with. And so kind of getting an idea of people like more stuff like this, what they want to see represented, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about the warm-up sketch, or just for lack of I hate using this word, but I'm going to have to use it, just to play. I think it's important to play. Yeah, and that's where the creativity comes in, where you're not on a deadline. You're not trying to necessarily, do anything for anyone other than yourself. Yeah. And that's when the really creative stuff comes out. So I find that, a good warm-up sketch will really, loosen up the creativity. And often if you don't do that, you're going to do it anyways on your first draft of what you're really trying to work on. So
totally. Yeah,
I think it's important to have these kind of things where you've got no skin in the game other than to please your own eye.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all fun.
And speaking about pleasing yourself, we're about to look at something very pleasing. To get to the meat of the matter, folks, slide 4.
Patches.
We're here to talk about patches. That's one of the main reasons we contacted you. For many, was about patches. Sweet little squares. What the hell is up with patches?
Why?
It's weird, but also not. I mean, you could have a giant vinyl. You could have a poster. You could have a huge T-shirt, but it's shrunken down into I don't know, like 4x4, 3x3.
4x4 is a pretty good standard. Yeah.
4x4 is good. Great. 4x4 square of art that you then sew onto your ass or your chest or wherever to just, I don't know, put a little piece of your soul out there.
Make a collage of yourself.
Make a collage of yourself. That's beautiful, Inks. Mm-hmm. Mike, what is the deal with patches? What are they?
I think, like as far as battle jackets go, like patches, obviously it's been an insignia thing for a long time. You got a military.
Right.
Yep. The military have been using it for expression of rank, expression of who you belong to, like units and stuff like that. So I think, I honestly haven't looked at the history of the patch itself. A lot of the things that I've kind of looked at more is the history of the battle jacket, as everyone likes to say.
Yeah.
But as far as patches, I mean, it's an expression of who you are. Like even if you look at, military rank, like that's on paper, that's who you are. It doesn't matter, who you are inside. Like, that is a very baseline representation of who you are. And then just going from there, whenever it became more popular to do like motorcycles was a big deal. Like motorcycle clubs early on. Good one. They had their vests that they would wear, and then it just kind of progressed from there as like a counterculture thing. Where what can you do? Everyone wants to express themselves, and so patches became a small way of doing that. And the cool thing, and what I like about patches, is you can represent, upwards of 30, 40 bands, or like in this case bands because we're talking music, but I could put 30 or 40 different bands on one vest and say, this is me. Like, this is the music that I listen to and it represents. And there's like, there's a personality that goes with it. If you know the bands that are on it, you can say, oh, this person is like this. Like, you could probably gain a lot of knowledge from somebody looking at their patch vest. Like, that's how I see it a lot of,
Yeah. So our cover decoder sort of theme for us, like the cover is the portal into the world, right?
Yes.
Or into the film or into the music.
Right.
So when you throw your jacket on with all your favorite bands on there, that is the portal into you.
It's like, it's literally putting emotions on your sleeve. Like,
Yeah.
It's exactly
totally.
what it is. It's an outward
You
expression.
you can make dating choices that way.
Yeah.
You can,
I don't talk to
sure
people
it's
at shows
happened.
if I don't like their patches. I'm not gonna lie. I'll judge.
Yeah.
I'll see someone at a show and they're like, "Oh, you got a battery patch? Oh, that's cool." And then it's like you keep looking and it's like right above a Slipknot patch, and I'm like,
that's a red
We're
flag
done.
patch.
Oh,
Can you
big
go
red
through your
flag.
top 3 red flag patches right now?
What about a crate
upside
patch?
down
Is that a
patches?
turn off?
anything that's upside down. Okay.
Oh, that's a red flag.
Big time. Like the biggest one that I've seen is the summoning. Everyone knows summoning, right?
Yeah.
And they've got like one of the coolest logos of all time. And like, if you're gonna straight up put that on your vest upside down, the amount of disrespect involved with that, like you don't know your band's logo, how it goes, and then you're putting it upside down. Even if you did, like but it
No,
fits
it's so
this
I can
way.
look
It's
at
like,
it,
no,
bro.
no,
It's
no,
so
no.
I can look at it.
No. Big no.
Okay.
That's the big one for me.
Red flag. Burn.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't wear my
number one.
jacket. I gotta hold on. I gotta rearrange a patch.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we have a couple. I believe these are some of your favorite patches right
Yeah,
here.
these are not. I do not own these, but these are like whenever I just want to look at some patches, these are the ones I look at.
Oh, that's sweet, Mike. Is that
Are
like
these-
is that like when
are
you're
these
having a
like-
hard time? Are you
These are
like, you
your-
know what? I just need to go look at some patches right now.
These are bucket list
That's another
patches.
like yeah. These are definitely bucket list patches, and then like another dead time at work or whatever. I'll pull up like y'all heard of the site T-Shirt Slayer?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it's like the widest collection of metal merch on the entire web.
Absolutely.
And so I'll go around, like, I'll just scroll through people's vests and be like, all right, this is cool. And then this one's like, oh, wow,
Oh, that's nice.
this sucks.
Don't come
you
in
know?
here.
Yeah.
And I try my darndest to not talk trash on other people's vests. Because, like we've talked about, it's an expression of yourself and all that kind of stuff. But, like,
Right.
Right.
put a little more effort into it sometimes, you know?
Try.
Like, there's a lot of people will be like, oh, this is my first vest. And I'll be like, yeah, I know it's your first vest. It's okay. You don't have to tell me. I get it.
Burn.
We know. Everyone knows. It's okay. So
Vest
I'll go through
envy
there.
is a real thing. It's a real thing,
Yeah.
folks. So, Brengineer, you want to describe some of these works of art for our listeners?
These are so good.
These holy grails.
Here's what we've got. First of all, we've got a body count patch. Now
I love this
looks,
patch.
It's hard to tell, but is this a back patch?
Yeah. So the top 3 that we're looking at are all back patches, and then the one at the
Okay,
bottom
gotcha.
is standard.
Gotcha. So we have a body count back patch with a neon green skull, red eyes, sitting in a puddle of
Ectoplasm.
toxic goo.
In the shape of a
Yes.
skull. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah.
The goo makes a skull. It's
Dude.
the coolest design, dude.
That is
And there's
such
bullet
that's
casings.
clever, dude.
And there's bullet casings.
Yeah, bullet
Yes.
casings and then bullet holes through the skull.
Next over, we've got a Saxon patch. We've
so
got
cool.
so cool. We've got this armored Viking wielding a dripping double-bladed axe,
Oh yeah, beefy boy.
looking like he's about to ruin your party and ruin your day.
He's got the chainmail
Oh, yeah.
leggings.
He's gonna
or
drink all
pants.
your beer.
He's gonna drink all your beer.
Yeah.
We have this
Okay,
this AC/DC patch.
This completely does not represent AC. Has to be the most badass thing AC/DC has ever put out.
It's a bunch of Frazetta.
It's
It is.
5 different Frazetta pieces on one design, and it's the best.
Is this more for the Frazetta?
I love AC/DC. I will fight anyone talking mess on AC/DC. Like,
Oh, the Akadeka, eh?
I don't like. Yeah, exactly. And especially this particular album for those about to rock. Like, if you want to hear like the hardest, like hard rock you've ever heard in your life, this is the album to go to. Like nothing beats this. It is so full of venom and like vitriol and just like vinegar. Like there's so much in that album. And me personally, like yeah, there's Frazetta on it, and you might think it doesn't represent, but this visualization is like that's the attitude of Brian Johnson whenever he's singing, like spit out the venom, and I mean, it's insane. And so obviously, I'm honestly not even 100% sure if that's an official patch or not. So it could be just someone just was like, I'm doing this, and then just threw it all on.
It's a badass rip if it is, man.
But no way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I lived overseas in Australia for a couple years, and
nice.
of course, AC/DC is like their national treasure, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's their Nicolas
Something that-
Cage.
It's a world treasure.
Something that that's right. Something that blew me away is like there's not really metal bars in Portland at all, which is a real bummer. So you go down there and they have legit metal bars, and they actually have AC/DC Lane. It's a road. AC/DC Lane,
Awesome.
and
man.
you walk down this road. It turns into an alleyway, and there's 4 or 5 metal bars down there, all like all next to each other.
That's
It
the
was a
best.
magical moment for me. It was the best.
That is so sick.
And then it was a real quick. I gotta add on to it. This is the type of bar, my favorite bar. I went in there knowing nobody. I was pretty sloshed, and I started singing. Every one of us has heard the call. And literally 4 or 5 people, strangers I've never met, gathered around me, and we sang the entire song.
Dude,
I
they
kid
put
you
their
not.
arms
gosh.
around you.
That's
It was
the
the most
that's every
magical
metalhead's
moment.
wet dream.
Yes, it was.
That just gave me goosebumps.
I
know
know.
why.
I was like, my metal
You
friends.
just tell me about it.
Oh, it was so cool. And finally, on the patches, we have an Ice Cube patch.
Oh yeah.
That certificate.
So good, so good.
So good.
We've got a corpse with a toe tag and an American flag draped over it.
Yeah.
Quite the statement.
One of the
Yeah,
best
it
album
is.
covers ever. All right, so in the early 90s, Def Jam put out a bunch of patches of a lot of really good hip-hop acts, but there were like very few of them. So you've got like Ice Cube patches, you've got Ice-T patches, Public Enemy. Who else have I found? Those are the main 3. Like NWA's got patches.
Yeah.
And so like all these bands or groups, however you want to call them, were putting patches out, and it was kind of a weird time. And I think like it was obviously Def Jam's a good one to do that because they had Slayer, The Connection, they had everybody else. But yeah, it just someone decided, we're gonna do hip hop patches, and it's not like it was a mainstay of the hip hop culture to have patches on like your jackets and stuff. So I think it was part of the crossover kind of going on at the time.
Yeah.
And so like, and they're all so good looking. That era of patches that like early like 90 to 95, I've got a bunch of like vintage stuff from that time era, and they all look so sick. They're like super basic colorizations, like this Ice Cube one, but they look so good. And so those are some of my favorites, just because they're so unique. There's not a lot of hip hop patches out there.
No.
Right.
Well, it makes sense that Rick Rubin, with his punk background,
Yeah, exactly.
would influence that. What do you think makes those patches so juicy? Like, is it the limited color palette, or was it I want to know what's going on that makes them so excellent.
I think it's the hip hop one specific. Just to get that out of the way, the fact that there are hip hop patches, like first and foremost, that makes them juicy enough for me, and like high quality ones, not just like embroidered.
And they're coming out of
made in
Def
your
Jam.
mom's basement. Yeah, like these are like legit super, like some of the best quality patches. Like I've got some that are like they're in my box in the other room, but I've got some that are just like pristine, and they just hold up. They withstand the test of time. And so the limited color palette's certainly a thing. The merchandising that was putting out a lot of them at the time was Blue Grape. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Blue Grape merchandising. They did a lot of screen print for like every band at that time. I think they're out of England. I could be mistaken. I think they are. But they were all just putting them out, and so whoever they had on their design team that did all this stuff and limited the colors is like perfect. Like I've got some Sepultura patches that just look insane. I've got a couple Anthrax ones from that time period. I got a Persistence of Time and like Sound of White Noise, and they're just like super clean and they're super cool looking.
Yeah.
So digging into that a little deeper, you mentioned screen printing. I'm curious because I've noticed like patches are different in how they come. Like some you have are like they're like the thread, where some feel like it's just printed on. I'm really not familiar with the form at all.
I can break that down for you.
even with these, they look different. Are they laser printed? Do they like what? Why do they thread them or not thread them? You know, is that a quality thing?
Yeah, give us the anatomy. Teach us, master.
So you've got basically, I want to say 3, but I'll go ahead and just say 4 different types of patches. You've got woven patches, which are different colored thread woven together, kind of like an Afghan blanket or something like that. And the easiest way to tell, because people freak out and they don't know what embroidered and woven is. So woven, if you put your hand across it, it's flat. Okay. It's all woven together. It's a one flat patch, and it's all different colored threads making the image. And then you have embroidered. And the way that embroidery works is that you're overlapping the threads. So if you have many colors or even just one color, it's going to be raised up. So an embroidered patch, you're going to feel it. And it's usually going to be a little bit thicker. The detail's not going to be as high because there's no weave. It's a lot harder to do more colors on an embroidery patch because like you're limited
it gets
to
thicker,
size.
Right?
Yeah, it gets real thick. And they put it on the backing. And all that kind of stuff.
What's your top color count?
What do you mean top color count?
Like what's your limit?
If you were gonna do
embroidered.
I mean, I've never gotten embroidered stuff done because I just don't like the quality of it, to be honest. To an extent, like as far as the ones that I've gotten done made, I always get woven. For woven, the highest color count that I went was at 11 actually. Ooh, because nice. I did an Absu patch for the album.
Nice.
Yeah, and so they're all Christopher Wimp art pieces, and like you can't lose color in those. And so I was actually able to like work it down to an 11 color, and it looks pretty good. You know, I think it looks pretty.
That was the son. That was the son of Tippereth.
Yeah, that one.
Patch, right? I got that on my jacket right now.
Yes, you do. It looks great. It looks awesome, Mike.
It does look great.
Yeah, that's the one. That was like the one of the most surreal moments for me was seeing one of my patches on a vest in person in the wild. Like I was at Hell's Heroes Fest down in Houston.
Wow, yeah.
And it was the first year. And I was chilling at the Eternal Champion booth. I was helping them sell their stuff. I did some patches for them. I did some patches for Summerlands for the show. And then this lady walks up and she's like, "Oh, you're Mike from Metalstrom." And I was like, "Excuse me?" Like, are you sure about that? Like, how do you know me? And then she's like, and she turns around and it's the legendary patch, the Dungeon Crawler legendary patch on her back. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is real." Like at that point I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this stuff with the band. It's really cool." Like I could, in my head, I'm like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever done." And then just to see it in public,
in the wild,
by someone that I don't know, I was like,
that's fun,
unreal. Like it was crazy.
But see, that just goes to prove the point. Again, you know, art is art, and even if you know your art is taking something and you know working it into a format that someone else can enjoy, that honestly is a lot different than the original. People recognize that, and clearly they recognize the quality and they recognize the craftsmanship. It's the same with someone who does you know a painting. And I know you know people might argue, well, it's different because someone is actually you know has all the skill for the painting. Yes, that's true, but it does not change the fact that the skill and the time and the effort are still there. So that's really cool. I think that's awesome.
So the next one's going to be screen printing, which is basically just like your T-shirts that you wear. Like it's just ink overlaid on top of a type of cloth, which is it's pretty straightforward. Everyone's worn a T-shirt. Everyone knows what that feels like. Which mainly that's reserved for back patches, especially nowadays. But a lot of the 80s
so big,
market,
is that?
Yeah, it's just because they're so big, it's easier and they withstand the test of time a little bit better. Which woven back patches have become kind of popular nowadays. I'm not 100% sold on them, to be honest, but that's another thing. And then in the 80s time period, like late 70s, 80s, you saw a lot of screen printed small patches. So like the Saxon patch and the AC/DC patch have like tiny counterparts of like that are like 3x4, and they're kind of interesting looking.
Okay.
They're kind of fun, just because they're so tiny, but they lose a lot of the detail.
Yeah, I was gonna say with screen printing, your DPI goes.
You got to
way
go
down.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And so-
I would think that screen print wouldn't stand as long as like an embroidered or a woven, just because the
Right.
ink can slowly wear off.
It won't be as long. Yeah, it's not going to be as long. Like, you know, you can have an embroidered patch from 100 years ago, and it's still an embroidered patch. You know, that thread kind of stuff. But as far as like, how many times have you washed the shirt you're wearing? You know,
I was
Right.
gonna say I'm
the
kind
ink's
of
still
new
there.
to the patch patch game. But do you wash your vest, you guys?
Oh no,
Is that
No, you don't wash that. Every
Some
smell,
people-
every
no.
smell is an
Don't want to lose the
experience.
experience.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm sorry. I gotta do one more story.
Okay.
It won't be the last story, but this is the story about how I washed my vest.
Oh,
What juice was spilled on it?
Well, okay, so it's kind of sad because my patch had soaked up guar blood and ounces of sweat.
oh, you
and
washed the guar blood
spilled
out?
beer. I had to. So I didn't have to, but it was getting real foul. It was
You
getting
had to
real
go through
smelly.
customs
Like,
to get back into the U.S.
like you can't wear it. And then I got a bunch of new patches. I want to take a bunch of old crappy patches off. I wasn't
Get
really
rid of
into
that
anymore.
Slipknot one.
And I'm like, okay, time for a fresh start. So I go ahead and I take off all the patches, and it's like, it's fresh, it's fresh without its patches. And then I have to wash this thing. I didn't put it through the washing machine, but I went ahead and I washed it in a bucket 5 times.
just sitting on the back porch, just
5 times. I was in there. My wife didn't want me to wash it in the washing machine or in the sink or anything like that. She's like, wash that.
It
in
was
this
that
bucket.
bad. It was that bad.
And so
Washing
the
machine.
water the first 3 times was black, completely black. So I poured it out. This is a decade without
did
washing
you
this
drink
thing.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
gotta drink the
drank
scum,
it.
dude. Drink the scum.
I gained the essence of all those shows, and then slowly by degrees the water became less and less, and then I threw the patches on.
Did you get?
I can't say I'm sorry I washed it. Like, I'm glad it doesn't smell anymore.
Okay,
but,
at least you took the patches off. Like, you were doing a complete remodel. That's a little bit different. Like, I've seen people who are like,
Yeah.
can you just throw this in the wash? And I'm like, yeah, if
Don't
you want
touch
all of
me.
your patches to shrink and mess up, and it's going to be a big garbage jumbled mess.
Yeah.
But
So there is
spot
etiquette.
touches. You can, yeah. Oh, I mean, etiquette to an extent. You can just do whatever you want. I try not
Yeah.
I try not to make too many rules, but I also judge people very harshly. So
Yeah.
I'm on. It depends
Yeah,
on.
that's part
depends
of
on
it,
if you're
though.
cool or not. Yeah.
It still has the pink tinge on the inside from the guar blood, so
Nice.
it still
There you
retained
go.
a
It's
little
still
bit
there.
of it. So I'm okay with
If
it.
I know you personally and I know what you're doing to your vest or whatever, like
Intervention.
I'm a little more lenient. Like, I know the story, but like if I see you posting something online, like I get real judgmental real quick. I'm not one
You
of
would be
those
a
like
harsh tax
I don't-
collector,
yeah.
Mike.
I'm not like the basher in the comments. I just like judge silently. On the other side of the black screen, I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Doth you wash your patches?
Yeah.
I can see why you did that
So-
after the lights were out.
Moving down, we had to put some of this up. These were grails. We went through some of your grail patches. So first of all, there's a lot of patches here. Are these all grails
Yeah,
or
so
specific ones?
There's specific ones involved here. The first picture, the Bathory patch, is what I was trying to focus on.
That's what I was thinking.
But,
Man, that thing is awesome.
Yeah. I got kind of cocky and I was like, I'm going to take a picture of this patch, but I'm going to make sure I show the rest of my vest just so people can kind of get a glimpse. But, the Bathory patch in particular was one, this dude from England, England or Ireland. Oh, totally blanking out. He's probably going to get mad at me for saying this.
The
It's called
UK.
Blood Like Rain is the name of the patch guy. And he does some of the best patches I I've ever seen. It's
Blood
like
Like
the highest
Rain?
quality.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's on Instagram. He does like 2 new patches a month, thereabouts. But his battery patches are the best battery patches. Like nobody beats this dude's battery patches. And so this one, but he always does limited stuff. So it's like 100. That's it. If you miss it, you have to get it on the second market, the black market, whatever. Well,
I love that.
this was one of his earlier patches, and so after I discovered him, I was like, "Oh, this dude's stuff is awesome." And then I found out this patch was out there, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Because this is that to me, that's a perfect patch. You cannot get better than that to represent.
Yeah, the design of it,
that
and
band.
it's in the Thor's hammer.
It's
like,
so perfect. Like
it's
nothing
such a-
else
it's such a-
represents Korthon than a flaming
Yeah.
sword inside Mjolnir, and it says battery on it. And
Yeah.
so I looked far and wide for that one. I found it, I think in like a Facebook group or something. Someone was selling it for actually a decent price. That's something else we can talk about. The
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
ask.
hell yeah.
Selling.
We're
I was gonna
in the
ask.
underground black market
Yeah.
trade. Are you using Bitcoin? Are you trading body
Patch
parts?
coin.
How are you getting these
Yeah.
patches?
patch coin.
Patch coin, that's
Trying to
coming.
get that one off the ground.
Well, real quick, because again, I'm kind of the square of the group here. So,
Okay.
what makes it such a good patch? Is he using imagery from Bathory?
Okay, yeah.
Albums and like taking pieces of them, or is he coming up with completely new artwork, or is it just the composition within the hammer? What's giving it the A rating?
Appeal.
Yeah.
That particular patch is based on the album Blood on Ice, which
Yeah.
is it's my personal favorite Bathory album. So that was another thing that like really set it off for me. So the flaming sword in the middle is from that album, and then you have like the logo down on the bottom, which is just like the standard.
Yeah.
That's not even the Blood on Ice logo, but it's a good logo. It's just the standard. And then I really like the idea of not making a square patch. And so whenever I saw that was the very first time I ever saw a patch in any kind of shape like that. And so the fact that he was able to make a really unique shape, but at the same time pay homage to all of Korthon's lyrical references of all the Viking lore and all that kind of stuff, like it's a total killer patch. Like nothing beats that to me. I have a couple other Blood on Ice patches that are like similar, but they just don't stand up. Like that's it. That's the number one patch right there for me.
Okay.
Well, and that's the other intriguing thing about this is that, you can go on YouTube or iTunes or whatever the hell and find the covers for these things. You can buy a CD or a vinyl or whatever. But the patches, especially these ones, they're limited pieces of art.
Yeah.
You don't some of them you can get, but lots of this stuff is limited runs. So, it's art. Yeah, it is. It's this select art that you get or you don't.
Right.
And it's such a cool, unique vein because unless you have a limited vinyl or a limited tape or something, I mean, no one's gonna get it from you. But this patch, I mean, how many people have this? Like
100 people.
150? 100 people.
One of the cool things that Blood Like Rain does is he actually he dates and numbers his patches on the back.
I love this.
So all of his stuff has the release month on it, and then one out of like whatever. And I've been lucky enough; I've actually have a bunch of number ones because like I'm Johnny on the spot whenever it comes to Blood Like Rain stuff, and so I'll order like. He usually does like 2 different border colors or whatever, and I'll order both. And like if I'm just in time, I've got a couple number ones, and it's I know it's a really tiny thing to nerd out about, but man, it's the coolest. It's just like one of those fun feelings,
That security cam you set up in
absolutely.
his room paid off.
Yeah. It's like I see you putting it online.
Hey, friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get this guy? Did you have to go to Taiwan and charter a plane?
This was that was actually an early I shouldn't say early acquisition because I got it after a bunch of stuff, but it was on Facebook and it was some European seller or Asian seller. It was like I was a little worried because it was one of the first ones that I was taking a gamble on, and I was like, I'm gonna pay this dude like I can't remember how much I paid for it, 10 or 15 bucks.
Enter your credit card now.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you got to send it the money, and then you're hoping that he actually puts it in the envelope and sends it. It doesn't get lost, that kind of stuff. So
right.
And when it showed up, I was
the
like,
prince thanks you,
man. Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, and again, just so cool that there's this underground trade, and it's this deep nerddom for
so nerdy.
So nerdy, but it's absolutely for art. Like there is music associated with this, but you're not getting a CD when you get this patch. It's literally just a little piece of art with memories and love for craft attached to it. So that's so cool. I love that. And I love that people geek out about it.
Oh, the way you build your jackets is pretty much different from how I see most jackets.
Oh,
like
totally.
Most jackets I see, they're like mine, for example. It's all laid out. There's a little border of denim around each one, and yours are like your collages are just
It's
literal
a shotgun
collage.
blast.
It's a shotgun blast of patches.
Yeah.
So when you first started making your jackets and vests and things, was this like what happened first? When you made your first vest, was it like this, or was this a slow like I just want to keep adding and layering?
It was.
How did that come about?
It took some time for me to get onto the big giant collages like that. My very first one was pretty spaced out. Everything had about like a third of an inch in between it, And then I really laid that one out. My first vest, I really like that one a lot. I like all of them, but that one's really cool. And then whenever I was first getting into like the patch vests and stuff, and I was seeing all these people doing these collages, and like I would see people that just put them on there, and it's called like the German style cut. It's a very like people call it the German style whenever you have like the crazy collage.
There's names for it.
Paschurpisch.
Even.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
And so I saw a bunch that were just so ramshackled, put together. Like it didn't look like they were really paying attention. They were just stacking patches on top of each other. And I was like, who likes this? Like this isn't. I don't like this. I want a band. If I'm gonna put a band on a patch or on a vest, I want to make sure people can read it. Like that was a big thing for me early on. And then I started seeing more and more, and I was looking into them, and I was like, I saw more people that were like actually doing really cool layouts with overlapped patches and packing everything they can in there to get the most bang for the buck. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand this. And then so it still took me a while to do it myself, mainly because I didn't like the idea of sewing on top of another patch. But then whenever I got
that's what I was going to say.
I finally got over myself at some point, and it was actually with this one with the battery that one's on. That was the first like major overlap one I did, and I was like, I'm just gonna go all out. I'm not gonna hold back, and then I just went for it, and I was like, oh, it worked, and this is pretty cool looking. And so
you gotta do that, man. When you hit your art, you're at some point. It's even that you tiptoe around doing things, and then at some point, like if you can take that plunge. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can make some really cool shit. Which, why don't we just dive in? Folks, if you go to the next slide 6, we have a picture of one of Mike's vests.
That's one of my favorites.
Holy crap, dude.
It's
this
amazing.
is, like, folks, if you can zoom in. This is a work of art in of itself.
See, the real test is if you can actually remove the vest and just have the patches stay into place.
I love your layering of the agent steels.
Oh my
It's
god!
so good.
That's my favorite part of that. Oh, dude, okay.
So good.
I know this is another extremely nerdy thing, but I love putting multiple bands on the same vest because it's like this band is better, and so I'm going to represent them more. And so a lot of my vests, like if you look at this one, I've got Eternal Champion on there like 7 times.
Yeah.
Or something like
yes,
that.
Yes, you do.
That's so funny.
And so like
that's so funny you mentioned that because I remember seeing someone commented on one of your posts, like this was ages back.
Yeah.
But you had like 2 or 3 what was the band? Blood
Incantation.
blood incantation. Yeah,
this is my death metal vest.
Some dude was like, dude, why do you have like 3 blood incantations on there? You're like, because they're awesome or something like that.
I was like, because they're better than other bands.
Why
like,
do you not have 3 blood incantations?
Like, if your band's better, I'm gonna put more on there.
Yeah.
And so like some of my vests, I've kind of like this particular one has a theme to it. So this was one I really wanted to do like a German style, like it's like the super collage,
cool.
super overlaid. This was I've got a lot of cut ones that I shaped myself. There's like an extra amount of overlap. And then I was like, I want 2 things. I want a lot of German bands, a lot of the patches that I own of German bands. That's why there's like a bunch of Accept on there.
Yeah.
There's I think like 3 Accept patches. And then I wanted a surplus of Eternal Champion was like another thing that I really wanted with this vest. And so that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to put a little more effort into doing some German bands. Like, they're not all overly obvious, but I've got like Halloween, I've got Scorpions, I've got Accept, I've got who else I got? Blind Guardian, Running Wild. The bigger ones.
Dude, you went historical too, because you got Visigoth on there, who are not a German band, but they're the tribe.
Yeah.
Which is cool. The Germanic barbarians. That's rad.
What I love like you get kind of playful with your work too. For example, I'm looking at this Sodom patch.
Oh man,
that has
is that cool?
That has the Death Dealer. The Death Dealer. Like,
it does.
Dude, I like.
It's great.
Yeah, I try not to pat myself on the back too hard when it comes to my patchwork, but whenever I was messing around, because I got that's like an official Frazetta Girls. Like, I see you've got the Death Dealer on yours.
Yeah.
That's the official like little mini patch, and I was like, do you know how funny that would be if it was just on something? And I had that Sodom patch on. That was one of the first ones I put on there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this fits like perfectly. It's the same exact size, and so I went for it. And then if you look on there's a Blue Oyster Cult patch on the left side.
I love it.
I've got the Fire of Unknown Origin little head
on
top of the I forgot which shirt that was supposed to be. That particular patch is based on like an old tour shirt from the
Gotcha.
I just blanked out on the album name. Dang it.
Well, and some of these are your button placement too.
Oh yeah, buttons are very important.
The buttons and pins, like in Manila Road, you got the Skeletor.
It's because everyone says Mark Shelton sounds like Skeletor, and so I put Skeletor on the
true.
Manila Road page. It's like an inside joke to people who like look and they get it, and I put on like the O, so it still reads as Manila Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Too
so
much fun.
cool.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one.
As for stitching, half of the job is the stitching. And it's funny, like I get like a sly smirk from my wife whenever I'm sitting there. I got my thimble. I've got my
hardcore
my
metal
spool of
boy.
black
The
thread,
lute is playing in the
my
background.
needle. Yeah, I'm doing my needlework. Like, do you stitch by hand? Do you like
Everything
use a
by
sewing
hand.
machine?
I
by hand.
despise sewing machines on vests.
Yes, there we go.
I think there's obviously I take a lot of pride in these because I'm putting a lot of effort and time in them, and I want that time to be there for myself. I like the idea of sitting there, like this particular one. I mean, actually, I paused a few times on this vest, so it actually took me like 2 or 3 years to finally complete after putting the first patch on there. Yeah. Because I bought the Sabaton patch because I was like, I need a Sabaton vest because they're the best band. And so I put that one on there, and then it just sat there because I was like, I don't know what to put around it. And then like I got more patches, and I'd play with ideas, didn't like them, and so I kept going. And so once I finally figured it all out, I like sitting there and sewing patches. Like my wife and I will be sitting there.
Relaxing.
We'll put a movie on or something, and I just sit there and I sew and I sew and I keep going and I sew. And then, like, my fingers start to hurt, and I take a break, and then I sew some more. sew through the pain, and then, you could just go through it. And I think that's it. Well, in a weird way, like, it's more personal that way for me. Is when you're actually putting your hands are bleeding because you're putting patches on your stuff.
Nothing builds finger dexterity better than putting together a proper
That's
vest.
Right.
That's
battle vest.
Another way that vests can help you with the dating game.
Yeah,
Now,
totally.
I just have a question about like just the pure number of patches like on all your jackets. And This
Oh,
is
yeah.
only a few pictures of a few jackets you sent us.
Yeah.
Oh,
pictures
folks, yeah. Mike
Like-
has probably a walk-in closet of jackets.
Yeah. So just how many unused patches do you have?
Unused patches?
In
have-
general, like in storage.
I have a Doc Martens boot box full of patches.
Wow.
I don't know how many that is. I have that many, and then I have overflow
They're
into
thin.
another box. So I don't have them in this room.
Do you have like certain ones in mind? Like, do you know what's in that box enough to be like when you're shopping around for patches, like, oh, I don't have that one, or do you find that you buy like duplicates?
A little bit of both, I guess. Like sometimes, like with the Blood Like Rain, like I was talking about earlier, and depending on certain bands, I want duplicates because I want to represent this patch more than once.
Right.
Yeah.
Eternal Champion. I mean, obviously, I've helped them with 90% of their 95% of their patches. So I have like stacks of
That's
those.
awesome.
Legendary is another one. Not just the patch that
Yeah.
I put out, but like the heavy metal adventure patch that they did. I've got like 4 of those sitting around.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I love that patch. I was talking to
So
to
good.
Vidar earlier, and I'm getting 2 more because we worked out a trade.
Oh,
And
great.
so I love that patch. And then if they're limited and like different colored borders, I'll get 2 sometimes. Depends on cost, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Certain ones, some of the stuff that I buy is specifically for a vest. Is that kind of like what you were asking?
Yeah,
as far as
just I
placement
just want to
goes?
know your. Yeah, well, just your process of selection of patch
Yeah.
selection, like
Patch selection on a vest itself is usually whatever shape works. Shape is like the number one thing. Like on this one in particular, like if you look at the back,
Yeah.
there's obviously some symmetry going on there. And I like to play with symmetry on the back of vests. I'm a little more,
Yeah.
I let it loose a little more on the front sometimes, just because I like, because there's a division.
Uh-huh.
It's like 2 panels.
Yeah.
And so I like to play with that a little bit more. But yeah, the back is usually a shape kind of a thing.
Yeah, you got the triangles, and then you got the dragon
Yeah.
with the hawk. Yeah.
Well, if you
Yeah.
folks go down to the next slide, this one is really
here we
like
go, yeah.
symmetrical. This is like down the sleeves and the sides and the back. You've got things like lined up in shapes. Like you've got
Yeah.
2 triangles next to the Celtic Frost. That Celtic Frost patch
I love that
is
patch, dude.
so freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But this one is really cool. I mean, it's not the shotgun blast.
Yeah.
This one again is more spaced out,
This is
but
gallery wall.
like
This was, I
yeah,
wanted.
it is.
Yeah.
This is like a feature.
I wanted for this particular one. So I call this one. I name all of my vests, by the way. I have different names for it.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
And so, like the last one we were looking at with the big collage was called Carl Cuttis. It's based on the Sabaton album Carlus Rex, and then the German
nice.
cut. So it's like Carl's a German name. It's also the Swedish name. So it all works. And then for this one, I call it Weird Uncle Music.
Yes. Oh, that's great.
And so the way that I did this is because like
Scorpions.
Dad Rock, like the name Dad Rock is a
Yeah,
thing,
Rush.
And I
Right.
I really don't like the
Oh, I
fact
see you
that
got a
Dad Rock
rush patch on there,
is a
Mike.
deal. Oh yeah, of course, Rush. I got
Oh,
Rush
hey
on
there.
almost
Hey,
all my patches.
That's a bitchin'
Or all my
jacket,
vests.
if I can say that.
Oh yeah.
know?
I don't want your mom to hear me
Yeah, I
saying
know.
that, but I like your
Yeah,
goat.
I know I'm
know
just
what
your
I
stepdad, but I think that there's a little connection going on here.
I'm kind of weird in that for me, I'm very selective about the jacket itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
Almost too much so. And I love that all your jacket, you have different jackets
Yeah.
for all your stuff. You're not just like, all right, I'm doing sleeveless. This is a lighter colored long sleeve jacket,
It
which
sells
I
the
love.
theme.
It's super cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Like your weird
For
uncle,
sure.
he wears.
He would wear that, yeah.
color.
He does.
He would throw that on when you're hanging out with your friends.
He's exactly. He's the guy that's like listening to Bathory and Rush. You know what I'm saying? Like your dad rock. Dad rock is one thing, all right. So I don't like the term dad rock very much because it's like become like different, and it doesn't really represent.
It's only like that 80s rock level.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
like the radio stuff, and I was like, I like this older stuff, obviously, but like, what if the same person? Like, I obviously do it, but I was like, kind of making a character. I was like, well, what else would this person listen to? Someone who's tried to keep up with things, and it's like, they first got into Jefferson Airplane, but then 30 years roll around, and they're like, man, this new Bathory album is really cool, and it's like,
Yeah.
so like, obviously, it's a weird uncle. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like,
gonna
it's just
play that while I hammer some drywall. Or I do some.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole vibe with this one.
My favorite patch I've seen
Yes.
so far, I gotta throw this out there, is this "Let Mortal Heroes Sing Your Fame" by Summoning.
Oh, I love that. That's a good patch.
That's an incredible patch.
I got that one from like India. It was like, I found it's another one of those like weird sellers, and it was like, I was like, all right, man, I gotta have it, because like the same exact thing happened. My jaw dropped. I was like, oh my gosh. And there's like, I think that's the yellow border. I've got a red border version too.
Damn.
And that's like, oh, it's so good. And
Have you ever like ordered a patch from, some conspicuous site and then just gotten like a toe in a box or something?
No, nothing
what I
like
mean?
that.
Or
No.
Or just like a note that says like "fuck you" or something.
Yeah. Thanks for the
just a
$7.
Yeah.
I love looking at this thing. You got a Budgie. You got a Yuri Gagarin.
Oh, dude, yes.
Man, this is Uncle Ted's, cool guy jacket.
Yeah.
Got Rainbow Rising on the back.
Yeah. That one actually, all those colors on there are glitter thread. So that's like the shiniest patch in existence.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's insane.
They have glitter thread?
Oh, glitter thread is a must.
Well, so kind of just slightly off topic here. I just want to know what is the rock station where you're at? What is the rock station name? Because like when I lived in Houston area or south of Houston, it was the Arrow. And
yeah, I remember the Arrow. I grew up down there.
The dad stations always have like the Arrow, the Viper.
I think it's just called the Eagle around here.
The Eagle.
I don't listen to the radio much.
No,
but
me neither.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
But that's the only thing I would listen for is just you got to have that cheesy name and then like the animal roar.
Yeah.
So moving down to the last battle vest here. This was a vest that you appreciated.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite vests of all time.
Yeah, and this, I put this up here because, again, this is a shotgun one, but this thing is just, this could be in a gallery as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So this is my buddy,
nuts.
this is my buddy Nils from he does his own patches called, company called Iron and Ash. And he does predominantly like atmospheric black metal type stuff.
Yeah.
This is his vest. It's one of my favorites. It's one of those ones that like I saw and I was like, oh, I can do overlap. Because I see that this is doable to make it look awesome. One of the cool things about this, it's really hard to tell in the smaller pictures, but his Windeer patch on the front, like breast area, he actually put like little tiny swords in their logo.
Oh, I can see that. That's awesome.
Because like their logo is drawn with the swords. Well, he actually sewed like little tiny swords in the spot. One of the other things he did, he's got this little tiny gold chain going around the border.
Oh yeah,
you can kind of see it glinting.
Yeah.
It's like super small details like that.
Oh, cool, yeah.
On the back, he's got the Summoning Stronghold patch, and then right above it,
so good.
he's got the dragon from Dol Guldur, the Summoning album, and it's like,
that's rad.
Yeah,
Like that's the one that drew
top.
me in was the Dol Guldur.
I was like, man, that is so genius. And then like right below that, his Mastodon, the Hunter patch. He's got like this 3D eye inside of it, so it's like this little like jewelry looking thing.
Yeah.
It's super awesome. And then
so
I could go on hours about this one.
That's the thing though, is like there is a difference between sort of plebeian jackets and art jackets because
for sure.
Really though, because you can tell that you guys, if you're not professionals or in the artistic world, you are doing some sort of art. You're doing something, whether it be whatever. In your case, it's design, because you can't look at this and not see all the care, all the Easter eggs, all the stuff in there.
Yeah.
You don't do that unless you have that sort of, drive, that artistic buffness. And that's what I love about these vests is because like my vest is just shriveled. Like I just jumped into the Arctic pool, and you're not going to see anything because my vest, is like still cleaning chamber pots next to these things. But it's just so informative. Kind of like what we talked about to your guys' personalities, because these are incredible. Like they're totally works of art.
Yeah, this is a really good piece. And like I said, there's so many like the small niche things where he like overlap patches and.
Well, my question is for the young enthusiast. Yeah,
the novice,
the patch novice. I was I was this patch squire. How much is this vest? How much is invested in this vest right now? What is your estimate for the?
Try not to look at those numbers.
Like when you're willing this to your kids, like, or you're buying insurance on your vests, how much are you putting down on the insurance?
You don't give it to Goodwill.
Yeah, if something goes up in flames, you're like, oh, well, that was.
No, these are going in your coffin with you.
Yeah.
That's what these aren't going to the kids.
Yeah, these are
Okay,
getting
so
burned
these
with
are going on the boat as it catches
on the
fire.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're traveling to the Egyptian afterlife with me.
Yeah.
Burn them and put them in little pots.
Anubis will look at it and he's gonna be like, "It is good."
I like what you did with that Manowar patch. Come on.
He puts your vest on the scale instead of your heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, here's a good question to kind of supplement that. What is the most you've ever spent on a patch where you're like, you hide the receipt from your wife?
So that's another. I think I almost touched on that earlier. So I hate paying a lot of money for a patch.
Yeah.
Because like I have a lot of patches. I know what goes into making a patch. If someone's trying to charge too much for a patch, I do not pay for that patch. It's one of those like I'm in the know, so I'm like, there's no reason for you to be spending $10 on this patch.
Come on.
And so I think the most is probably some of the vintage stuff that I got. I have an original Manowar Triumph and Agony back patch that I bought. You ready for this? From Proscriptor from Absu.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Whenever I was doing those patches for him, I actually met up because he lives a couple towns over. And I was like, I could just drop these off if you want. I don't have to put them in the mail. I'm trying to like smooth my way. And he was like, oh yeah, come over to my apartment. And I was like, all right. And so like a couple days before. A couple days before we were supposed to meet, he was like, "Oh, I see you like Manowar a lot," and I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "I have this patch that's been on a jacket for a long time, and I was wondering if would you be interested in this?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Yes. And so I won't divulge the price on that one, but it is the most I've paid. I don't want to like just because like I bought it from someone else like that,
Right.
and it wasn't like a store. The next tie up would have been like another vintage. I have a Public Enemy Fear of the Black Planet, the Black Planet back patch, and I think I spent around $40 for that one. And I was like, and it's in pristine, and it's an original.
And that's a big old back patch.
Yeah, and it's a big one. So I'm like, I'm willing to spend a little more on back patches, but like some people that are in like patch groups trying to sell like, exclusive vintage stuff for like upwards of 50, 60. I've seen stuff. I've seen bolt thrower patches going for 100 and plus. Like,
holy crap! For a piece of fabric.
For a piece of fabric, and that's how I look at it. Like, I love my patches. I love my vests, but at the end of the day, it's a piece of fabric. I'm not spending more than $7 on this thing.
Yeah.
So be careful out there. Unless you got money to spend, don't get suckered into buying. Cool. That's good advice.
And like, I get it. If you're a collector, like bolt thrower is a big one, especially because of their super limited merch and they're a big band.
Right.
But like, and if you got the money to spend, you do whatever you want with it. It's just not for me. There's no possible way I'm spending that much money on something like that. It's a patch.
I mean,
and I'm gonna put holes in it.
I have a hard enough time dishing out for vinyl and even cassette tapes.
Oh
sometimes,
yeah,
right.
And I'm lucky. So
and that's music.
Yeah. Caveat to that one. So like, people always like say like, you have so many patches, and I was like, yeah, because I kind of scaled back on my vinyl purchases. So for one record, because I just have limited space right now at my apartment, and so like for one record, you're spending, average $20, $25. All right.
Yeah.
That's a potential of 3 to 5 patches, depending on who you're buying them from.
Ooh,
And-
the ratio
yeah,
there.
And the cool thing about 3 to 5 patches is that you can put them in a box with your other 50 patches, and it still takes up less space than a record.
Vinyl, right.
And so I'm just like, and then the same like with shirts. Like if a band has the option for, like, obviously I like supporting bands. If they have shirts, I'll think about it. If they have patches, I'm probably going to buy it because it doesn't take up space. It still supports the band directly. I know that there's very little capital going into it, so a lot of it is like straight to their pockets, like profit. You know.
So that's a good question. Then, do you think for either artists or whatever bands, whoever, do you think having patches are sought after? Do you think having patches is a good solid piece of merch?
Yes, and that's not speaking as a patch collector. Like, I know I'm a patch collector, and obviously I'm going to tell bands to make more patches, but it just makes sense to me because I've put out, whenever I was doing some of the Metalstrom stuff where I had patches and tapes. I know that's super niche, doing a patch and tape combo. And so I had people sending me messages were like, is there any way that I can get just the patch?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no. Because there's limited of each, and it's a cassette. I was doing it. And so doing patches, like, if you want to support a band, but, times are a little rough right now. They've been rough for a lot of people. But you still want to support your band, it's a lot easier to plunk down anywhere between $5 to $8 for a patch than it is $20 for a shirt. Yeah. And so you're still supporting the band, you're still giving them money. It's the satisfaction on both accounts because the band is going to have their name out there on a patch somewhere, and the fan is going to have a small little tiny piece of merch that's going to make them happy because they were able to get it.
And that brings up another cool thing is another thing about patches, which is cool in the cover and art world, is that when you buy an album, you can't just staple that album on whatever you want.
Exactly.
You're not going to staple your $25 vinyl on your whatever.
No, you're going to put it in a sleeve, and you're going to put it on your shelf, and it's going to sit there.
It's going to sit there, and you're going to pull it out occasionally and listen to it.
You may or may not
the
take
patch
the
is going to go
sticker
everywhere.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you leave that sticker on. The patch can go anywhere. And speaking of the movement of patches, one of the main reasons we're talking to you, like we said, is patches, but also because you yourself are an artist of the patches. Yeah. You are an artisan patch maker.
I make the patch.
And you make the patch. So, folks, if you go to slide 9, we're going to talk with Mike about what it means to forge a patch.
To forge a patch.
Yes.
So you yourself, you have your own patches that you've designed, you've done the layout for.
Yeah.
What goes into that of making a patch? Like you're sitting there. I guess you get the band's permission to make a patch, or they ask you to make it for them. What then? There's 2 different ways that I go about this typically. Either the first step is, what shape do I want this patch to be?
Ooh.
So a lot of this is a nice little secret.
Yes, secrets. We love secrets.
A lot of the patch shapes that I've done is because I need that shape on my vest. Super selfish, like
lightning bolt.
Like, I want this patch shape, or because let's say I've got another one that I want to do symmetry with, but it's a weird shape. So I make another one because I'm like, well, why not? I can do it. And so...
Well, no, dude, it makes sense. It's like, artists paint what they want to paint. You make patches to what you want to wear. I love that.
Yeah, and sometimes you just want to try something out.
Yeah, exactly. So, luckily, people like it. Because, like I said, I like shaped patches. I like going more obscure. I really I like square patches if done, and I get it. But, whenever every single band is just doing square patches, my vests look terrible. I want some flavor in there. So first thing,
I look like a turtle.
Yeah. One of the first things is shape, and then the second thing, which, it could either go either way, is a visual. What do I want to represent with this patch? What do I want to represent? An album cover? Do I want to represent a song? And a lot of the times, the idea will come from that as well, as far as shape goes. For example, the Visigoth patch that's on this slide. Slide 9.
Yeah.
They have the song Highland Steel, right? And so it's
that's awesome.
it's based on Highlander.
Yeah.
Like the movie Highlander. And so I was like, what would be really sick is if we did the McLeod sword.
Dude, that's so cool.
And so
Or
if
you
you
take
look in
Christopher Lambert's face and just make that a patch.
yeah, oh, that'd be so good, dude. And so
Dude.
that's where the first idea came from. And I was like, or not, the song's not called Highland Steel. The song's called Outlive Them All. My bad.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be called Highland Steel. They should have called the name Highland Steel. If Jake, if
That's
you're
what your
listening,
patch
you should
is
have called your
called.
song Highland Steel.
That's one of my favorite songs on that album. Just a side note.
It's
a
so
great
good.
song. It's so good.
And so I wanted to represent it because I'm like, this is a killer song. I love Highlander. Let's do the McLeod sword. And so like, I had that idea and I was like, okay, what shape works with a sword hilt?
Yeah.
And it's a very natural triangle shape. And so I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, let's do a triangle because nothing else is
perfect.
going to sell. Like since it's such a focus on the hilt, you're not really getting the full blade.
Yeah.
How are you going to sell that it's a sword? So you make a point. You make it look almost like a bladed weapon.
Oh, yeah, that's such a
And
good
so-
idea.
That's where I came out with that. And so I had to do some. I found a picture of the sword. I did a lot of digital manipulation. Had to redraw a bunch of the stuff, and then obviously put their logo over the top. And then I was like, this is cool. Like I like.
It's
this
almost
patch.
like it's being sheathed,
Yeah.
like into the
Yeah.
patch.
Well, and the symmetry of it's great.
Yeah, symmetry is another big thing, and we'll get to that a little bit later with the Eternal Champion patch we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
That's a funny one.
Yes.
What,
And,
what program are you using when you're making these?
GIMP because it's free.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
A gimp. A
Dude,
gimp
you're a
user.
gimp
Yes.
master. The
I
master
don't
the
gimp.
Gimp Master.
Get
Like I
the
said,
gimp.
I don't pay a lot of money for patches is just because I don't like spending money. So if I have a free option, I'm just gonna use it and make it work for me. So it's what I do. Like I've got if an actual like I'm not a graphic designer by trade. I'm not trained on any of this stuff. If somebody saw the weird loop-de-loops that I went through for half of my or more like 80% of my patches, they'd probably pull their hair out. Like, cause I'm just like making it work for me because I don't know what I'm doing.
Dude, you're a punk rock patch master. I love that.
that's-
I love this.
That's how things get started, right?
Yeah.
That's just everything, And I'm very anti-Adobe myself, so I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I use
Adobe overlords are not going to touch your patches.
yeah,
I used GIMP up to like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like I did a bunch of different album covers and stuff using that program.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's
I have
awesome.
I have no qualms with that. Yeah.
And
So-
oh, go ahead.
I was curious. So, do these guys do they not give you any? Do you just have freedom to run? Were they just like, hey, dude?
So a lot of these, I think most of the patches that I've done, aside from Eternal Champion for other reasons, a lot of
Yeah.
them, I approached the band and said, hey, can I do a patch for you?
Oh, cool.
And then I go up to them and I say, I will give you. I'm usually pretty good about how I do business. I try to give the band at least 50% of the patches, like just free. Like, here you go. This is your payment. This is the.
It's a good way to go.
What's the
Yeah.
word? I'm looking for? Like the royalties or whatever, because it's a lot easier just to give a band patches.
Yeah,
that they
then
can,
to percentage it.
yeah. I don't want to mess with
Yeah.
math, so I just like
No. Got
And
patches
then-
to make.
yeah. And so I'm just like, I'm gonna do 100 patches. I think most of the ones on this screen were all 100 patch runs. I was like, I'm gonna do 100 patches. I'll give you guys 50 of them to do whatever you want with, no charge, nothing.
Wow,
And
that's
then-
awesome, dude.
And then I just run with it. And a lot of I make sure that they like the designs. The Visigoth one took a little while to produce, and then it ended up being a Hell's Heroes 2 exclusive whenever they came down to Texas.
Oh,
And
nice.
so we just made it like a Fest exclusive patch. That sold out like stupidly quick for them, and I was really happy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, like,
it makes a lot
I'll
of
hit 'em
sense.
with the
That's such a
design.
catching one.
I like it a lot, especially like the glitter border on the silver one.
Yeah.
It pops, you know. So
Solitude Eternus, did you make that for them too?
yes. So John, the guitar player. So Solitude Eternus is from Arlington, which is
really
right down the road from here. And the guitar player John Perez, he runs a record store in Fort Worth called Born Late Records, and it's Henry from St. Vitus runs it also. So like they run it together.
What?
Yeah, he's the current drummer. Yeah, and they're like super cool dudes.
yeah.
And so like I went in there one day like, oh, it's a record store. Let's check it out. And then like I'm like, this is John Perez. What is John Perez doing in this store? Like, what's going on? And then we kicked it off immediately. Like, he is 100% a metalhead, a metal fan. Like, he loves the music, and he's into so much other stuff too, like music-wise. But this dude is just an amazing man. Like, he's just fantastic, and he just happens to be, you know, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And so we hit it off real quick because, and we've talked about it. Like, he really just kind of like saw the passion that I had for the music. And so it took a couple times like going in there, really getting to know each other. And then I was like, hey, John, what's it going to take for me to do Solitude Eternus patches? And he's just like, oh, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, oh,
That?
no
Just
way.
asking?
Yeah, I just like straight up. That was that easy. I was just in the store with him, and I was like, "Hey, John, can I do these?" And he was like, "Yeah, bring me some." And I was like, "You got it." And so I want to do Beyond the Crimson Horizon because you know that's the Solitude Eternus album for me. And that one took a little bit. That was the first time I actually was using a painting, like a painting with a lot of colors to make a patch. So
But it's so good.
it took a little bit. That was that was one of like the stepping stones for me as far as like actually getting comfortable with manipulating someone else's like art like this. And so I wanted to make it like really stark. Obviously, the red border sells the Crimson Horizon part.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Then just keeping the black background real bare. It looks more doomed to me. Like it's just a heavy looking patch, you know. And then the triangle with the gargoyle is actually based on a tour shirt from the, I want to say Through the Darkest Hours tour or Downfall. I can't remember what year it was, but I found the image of the shirt and I was like, this gargoyle looks awesome. And so
That's so cool.
I sent it to him, the design, and he was like, oh my gosh, you found the gargoyle. And then he tells me the story of this gargoyle. It's like this 3-foot styrofoam gargoyle that they had, and they just took a picture of it and put it on a shirt. And it's like, oh man,
It was like, yeah.
so cool. And so that one I really wanted to do triangle. So like obviously there's a lot of triangles in this picture. Triangle's my favorite patch shape. I think
Clearly.
I think it's just it's a really cool shape to like play with. It's a really interesting dynamic, and you can do like really awesome looking stuff. And so that was the first. I think that was the first triangle I did. And
well, I was gonna say like, I mean, all these patches are awesome, but like, you know, with these patches, the Solitude Eternus one looks like a label printed it, man. Like, it's really well done. The logo, did you cut out like the fill for that, or did you redraw it for the yellow Solitude?
The cutout on that, I basically just pulled it from the album cover, put it in my stuff, and then kind of simplified it down. I had to redraw a little bit of it just for like the way that the colors were working. Luckily with patches, don't tell anybody, but you can make small mistakes and no one will notice.
Because it shrinks down so much.
Because it's so tiny. I mean, I've done some patches where I'm like, these lines are weird, but then I'm like, oh, it's just going to be one strand of thread. And so I'm like, whatever. I just let it slide. And then like, because I know the medium that it's going to be eventually, you know.
Yeah.
That's cool too, though, because you know where you can afford to like, you know, cut time or not cut time. You're like,
exactly.
You know, it's going to go away. That's so cool. Well, that's awesome. These are such cool patches, and the process is so cool. But folks, we got to go down to slide 10 because we have some deep design stuff here, and I'm really excited to hear the story behind this one because this patch is so cool.
Yes.
I really like this patch.
As we transition, I want to know, is there a price difference by the shape? Like, is it cheaper to do square?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
So it's not cheaper necessarily to do one shape over the other. It all depends on the area of the shape. So it's all about size.
Oh, okay.
And
So you can go nuts with the shape as long as it fits the size.
Yeah. And, well, you can go a little nuts with the shape. So depending on how the shapes are done, you can get where it's like a border like this. All the patches that we're looking at right now, they have a color border. And because those are nice and easy straight lines, or if it's like a nice easy rounded line, they can do borders. If it's like a shaped patch, where it comes and it's like a cutout, it looks like someone just cut it with scissors, like pre-done.
Yeah.
Those are like laser cut, and it's like a heat treated side, so you can get those weird colors, and then it doesn't unravel on you. But so yeah, the as far as price difference goes, it's not really anything, as long as you're within a specific area. It's like incrementally gets more expensive.
So you get that Whataburger building shape.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that.
That would work because it's got the straight sides.
Yeah, dude,
totally.
Mike, you can.
Embroider the edges all you want.
The Combo 12 could have your patches.
Combo 12
Every Combo 12 can have a
Oh.
Greylord patch.
Spicy ketchup packet patch. Oh, that'd be awesome.
So tell us the story behind this patch, man, because folks, as you go through the slides with us, there's a lot of design images in here that Mike, you were super gracious in giving us. But yeah, tell us about this one, because this is such a cool patch.
So obviously this is Eternal Champion.
The metal band right now.
Yeah,
I'm
the
just
best
gonna throw
band.
that out there.
They're hot.
And the best guys. So I was wanting to do a patch for the Hell's Heroes, the first Hell's Heroes fest. They came down to play. Summerlands came down to play. I also did a Summerlands patch, which looks pretty cool, but there wasn't much of a story with that one. So this one's got the cool story.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a Cold Sword patch, the song, The Cold Sword.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone knows it from Armor of Ire. So at that time, every single other song had a shirt. And Cold Sword didn't have a shirt yet. And so I was like, well, let's just do a patch. And I was like,
Yes.
And one, it's a cool song, and it's actually, I'm going to jump down to scroll the slide
absolutely.
13 real quick. Obviously, you have the Frazetta painting, which is from the Michael Moorcock Silver Warriors.
Yes.
And that's what the song is based on. So you have, and he's one of the Eternal Champions. And so you have the only Moorcock song on Armor of Ire is the Cold Sword. So I was like, well, let's do it. Like, go all the way. Let's do the Eternal Champion song. And so I was like, and this before I even knew who Michael Moorcock was, this was one of my favorite Frazetta pieces. Just growing up, my dad got me into fantasy early on, and I was like, this is just fantastic. Like, this super huge warrior on this sled pulled by polar
bears,
and like
he's got the weird uncle mustache.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everything about it. And then like the sword shape is perfect. The gleam coming off the black blade, and then the mountain in the background that kind of looks like a cloud. Like I was like, I'm sold.
I love that.
I'm sold on this painting. And so
I love that about Frazetta sometimes. It's he's got these like huge, hulking, beautiful demigod warriors, and they've got like the weirdest facial hair.
Yeah.
So it's like
perfect.
He goobs them up just enough to where you're like, oh, I
that's
can
my
hang
Uncle
with that
Dan.
guy.
Yeah. Well, and like the perspective, like he's behind the polar bears, and he's still bigger than all four of them. Like that's a big dude. Like, look at the size of that guy. So you know
Those
that
are
mustache
polar
has got
cubs.
to be at least like 10-inch long mustache going across his lip.
Yeah.
Easily.
He just killed these
Bow to
baby
it.
polar bears' mom and just like stole them.
And so, Cold Sword, obviously, it's Cold Sword is the name of the sword in the painting that he's seen holding, and that's one of the only depictions in art of the Cold Sword, and it's one of the black blades for everyone who's into the Moorcock stuff.
Yeah.
And
We love the cock.
Oh yeah, let's talk Moorcock.
That's right.
And so I was talking to Jason about it, and Jason's really cool working with, because he is very much invested into the aesthetics and presentation of his bands.
Nice.
And so he knows what he wants. He just needs someone to like get it for him, and we have kind of like a similar vibe of things that we like, so it works really well. And so I was like, all right, let's do Cold Sword. And then I said, all right, the very first one I did, or hold on, let me back this up a second. I'm trying to remember how I did it. And I was like, yeah, we could base it off of this painting. And he was like, yes, that is the Cold Sword. That's the best one. And so I was like, all right, cool, let's start messing with it. And so if we go back to slide 11 real quick, at that time, I really, really wanted to do a strip patch because I really like strip patches, and I haven't done one. Oh, no, sorry. I did a Crypt Sermon one, but I wanted to do an Eternal Champion one because I was like, I need a big strip, just Eternal Champion patch. And so I took, as you can see, the very top one is basically just a cut and paste blackout version of the artwork. And so I put Eternal Champion in the middle, put the mountains in the background, and I put the lyric from the song, which is a Michael Moorcock quote on the bottom, the hilt of the sword and the hand are as one, because it's such a cool line.
So good.
And then you got to make it chaos and law.
For order. Chaos and order, for sure.
You gotta. And so that was my first draft, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he was like, and that one actually took me a while because, funny enough, trying to balance the chaos and law signs was really difficult.
Yeah.
So
really,
well, like, because looking at it, if you look at that patch, like, to me, it bugged me just a little bit. So it took me a while to figure out like shapes and how big the law should be. Should it be the same size?
Yeah.
Arrow wise, should it be the same girth or should it be the same size as the whole thing? And then like I tried to add the heavier weight with the sword hilt on the law side so that it looked a little more balanced, but it wasn't selling it in my head. And because I get over analyze everything. And
you have to. I mean, that's the thing with the design, right? You want to get it perfect. And you got to, like, Inks was saying, you got to play with it, right?
It's better to fail on the computer than fail in the print.
Yeah.
Because and that was the first time, that was like the very easy first draft that I sent him. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this idea? And he was like, okay, cool. I like where we're going with it. But he was like, I want to change it up a little bit. Because he also looked at it and was like, the balance doesn't look quite right. And I was like, I know, it's kind of bugged me as well. And so I played with it some more. And then I got to the second image you see, which has just both chaos on there. It's nice and easy.
Yeah.
I cleaned up the sword quite a bit. I did a lot of redrawing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure the shape still like remained intact. I changed up the font a little bit so it would be a little more legible.
Yeah.
And like we were still looking at it and I was like, well, I don't really like both chaoses there because then you don't really have a balance. There's nothing to play with it. And so I sat on it for like a couple days and I was playing with it every now and again. And I was like, well, I don't really like this. I'm going to mess with some other stuff. And so like, what do? I go to my patch box, And I'm like looking through my patches looking at shapes. And then I had this one, like on page, slide 12, I had a pentagon patch, and I was like, this is a pretty cool shape. And then I started looking at it.
Such a weird patch shape. I love it.
Right? It's so cool. Like it sticks out, and that's what I was like. I saw it, and I was visualizing it in my head. I was like, oh, this can fit their logo at the bottom pretty wide, and you can sell a sword shape with it easily. And so I was like, all right, let's do this. And so I made the first one. I picked some different mountains to give it some some depth. Because if I just put white in the background, it would just be a wash, and you wouldn't quite know what you're looking at. And it finally, to me, it balanced out law and chaos. The way that it worked on that side of the sword, the way that it fits in kind of the corners of the pentagon, and like I was like, okay, we're onto something. I sent that to Jason. He was like, oh, this is it. This is more like it. And so I want to change the mountains though. And but like I'm glad because I like if I'm working with an artist, I want them to tell me exactly what's in their head.
Oh, 100%.
I'm trying. I want them.
Oh boy.
I want them to be happy with it. I want, especially if they're with Jason, especially. I work more closely with him because I've done so much Eternal Champion stuff, and so. I know that he has an idea and he won't be satisfied unless it's the thing that he wants. And so we have to, I bounce back and So like whenever I'm doing drafts or stuff, it's a constant. Hey, what do you think about this small thing? And he's playing game. He's not annoyed or anything. And so I send him stuff. I'm like, I tried this. You know, I adjusted the colors a little bit. What do you think about this? Blah blah. And he'll give me pointers. And he said he wanted a little more like a comic looking, like not necessarily cartoon, but more of a comic kind of feel on the mountains.
Yeah.
So we get on the next one, and it's a little more blocked out. I made the logo a little darker so it doesn't stick out, or like it sticks out better.
Actually, and it did. And it fits really well with the negative of the sword too. You know.
Yeah.
And then, in case anyone's asking, there's obviously the bright green. And so the reason I was doing that is whenever you send to a patch producer, it's easy to say I want the green as silver. Like the glitter thread.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you say because it looks obviously not right, you know.
Yeah.
Right. No one really wants this lime green in here, and it's like, okay, that's what I'm gonna input into the computer as the silver thread, because if I was to try to put like a gray in there or any kind of stuff that almost looks like the blue or the white, it doesn't really stick out, then they have to manipulate on their end, and it's just easier for everybody. So that's why it's green. I'm sure, like, I've gotten questions about people when I send them stuff, and they're like, why is it green? I was like, oh, it's because it's silver. Yeah.
That's a good inside tip, though. You know, it's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, if you did it gray, it would almost match the shadows of the mountain.
Yeah, it would match that, and then the patch people would have a little more harder of a time, and it's just like try to make it easier for everybody.
Yes.
And so I wasn't sold on these mountains, so we were like, all right, one more time. And then I finally got onto the mountains that you see in slide 13 next to the image.
So creamy.
And and that's it looks better. It's a little more defined.
Yeah. They're more pointed.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're mountains.
Exactly. And so, that's the final, which ended up being what we saw on slide 10 with all 4.
So when you send these this in, does it need to be like layered at all? Do they need the separate layers, or do you just send them a PDF of your picture and then they put it through? Like is it vectorized? Like
it's since it's such a small format, it's really easy to work with. So they don't need 600 DPI or something like that. They require higher definition so that the lines are straight. But I just send them you can send PDFs or PNG files or whatever, as long as it's clear. And then what they'll do is, so I do all the color separation myself.
Okay.
So if I'm doing a painting or like the Absu patch or like the Solitude Eternus one, I made sure all those colors were simplified enough that it still sold the painting aspect of it. So like the Eternal Champion, those are all blocked out colors. So it's really easy for the patch maker. I could just send them this and say, hey, I want the green and silver. Let's go.
That's awesome, man.
I try to make it easy for everybody,
Do you know what it's going to look like until you get the final product? Like, I mean, you send them the design, right? Yeah. But you don't necessarily know how all this white and blue is going to turn out until the patch comes, or do they show you?
They show me. They'll show me a progress pics. They'll send progress pics. It's nice and easy.
Okay,
the person that I work with is super cool. On this particular one, it was kind of funny because they sent me pictures and it was kind of like a bad quality. So if you go back to slide 10 real quick, if you look at the top 2 are the original 2. So this got pressed twice. The black border and the silver border were the original patch. And if you notice, the mountains the shadows are really dark.
Yeah.
And so in the picture,
you're right.
In the picture,
the
I thought they were
ones.
Yeah, I thought they were black in the picture that they sent, and I was like, no. Please tell me that there's color in this. I'm about to my heart sank a little bit because I was like, why is it this? And then they sent a little bit better pictures, and I could barely tell because it was just they didn't send the best pictures. And so I finally got them in, and I was like, oh, okay, goodness gracious, that's blue, thank you. And
there's your almost horror story.
I guess that's pretty close to a horror story.
That was a butt clenching moment.
Yeah, it's a butt clencher.
Because at that point, once the patches are made, there's no way with a woven patch. They do them in these giant sheets, and then they cut them out of the sheets. So they're not making they're not weaving one little patch and it's on to the next one. It's it's a big giant knit. They fit as many patches as they can like a puzzle piece.
man.
Puzzle piece them all together.
Yeah.
And then they have a machine that cuts them out, and then they'll embroider them. And so with these, they do all 100 of them, and then they send you a picture of what it looks like. And if you're not happy with it, you have to pay for the cancellation fee.
Too
and then
bad.
you have to pay for a second batch. So it better be good.
Shit.
Yeah. Now
So
they,
you
they
know
have-
what? It makes sense. All the green, all the like,
Yeah.
you know.
I wanna make it
yeah,
as
that makes a
obvious
lot
as
of
possible.
sense. Yeah.
They do send like if it's something a little more like a painting that I've done, and it's not blocked out like this, they'll send a digital rendering of like their program. So they'll put it through their program and then like estimates like what their colors look like, and then they'll send it for like approval just in case they need it, you know, in case you're like for example with the Solitude Eternus one, that one was one of the first ones I did with all the different colors and trying to blends and stuff, and there was a couple spotches that were weird looking, like it looked really bad and obvious that it was incorrect. So I was like, can we change this please? And they're like, oh yeah, that's easy. I was like, okay, cool. So luckily it didn't go to print.
Yeah.
You know, I got to look at it a little bit beforehand.
Man, it's awesome. It shows like, dude, so much time and dude, definitely art, man. There's so much art involved in this. It's insane. Like, you know, you might not be painting with oils, but there's no denying that the eye and the craft is there for sure. How did
There's an aesthetic to it.
Yeah, and how did you get into making? Like, when did you decide? Hey, I'm gonna design a patch. I'm gonna make a patch.
Whenever it kind of started whenever I found out how easy it was.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the process isn't necessarily easy, but anybody can make a patch. Like it's not that big a deal. You can make a design and send it in. So I was like, oh, well, I'm getting pretty heavy into these patches. I'm just gonna make my own. And so
I love that.
that's where it really started. The first patch that I did was for the Winds of Lang album that I put out. I think it was the very first one I did, yeah. Death metal band from Arizona. Great guys. That was the first release that I worked with. That was the first time I was ever designing a patch. I think it turned out pretty cool. And then just going from there, it just kind of, you know, spiraled up and out from there, doing stuff. Like I said, talking to bands. It's really easy to talk to bands, especially if you like kind of know them a little bit or know somebody that knows them.
So
And,
that's a good. We talked about this with David Peterson. Do you find that are bands cool with people approaching them to be like, hey man, do you need art or do you need patches? Like, are there things that bug them or do's and don'ts? Because I think a lot of people are kind of afraid to be like, oh, you know, I don't want to be bugging these guys or seem like that clinger on. You know what I mean? Like, is there a good way to approach these guys?
One of the things that I've been lucky enough with is that most of the work that I've done, I was friends with the person first.
Sure, yeah.
And that makes things obviously way easier.
So buy them a steak finger basket first.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Take them to Whataburger, treat them to nice, you know.
Steak finger basket. That'll get you into the patch game quick. I mean, we've been surprised ourselves, especially with this show, at how approachable.
And
artists
very
can be.
much. Especially like if you're giving them an offer and you're saying, hey, I'd really like to make patches. We'll use that as the example. Hey, I'd like to make patches for you. And like my offer is a little more, whenever I reach out, it's a little more artist oriented because I want them to have the patches and make the money and sell it because I'm not in it to make any money. And I know a lot of people who are like, you know, oh, we're going to do 100 patches. Like I've talked to people and they're like, I got 10 of those, or I got 5 of those 100 patches and no check.
Shit.
And like no cut from the rest. And I was like, how are you going to be a person that like says that they love this band and they love what you're doing and then just
screw them at them?
Yeah, you just screw them hard. And like Eternal Champion got that before I came along, and it bummed me out whenever I found out about it after the fact.
Yeah.
Like there's this, they didn't really have any patches out at the time. I talk about Eternal Champion a lot because I'm just so involved with them. So hopefully I'm not overbogging with the Eternal Champion stories. So there's this dude in Germany.
We love them muscly boys.
There's this dude in Germany that kept messaging him on Facebook like, hey, can I do this patch? hey, can I do this patch? And like without getting responses, was just kept bugging and bugging and bugging. And Jason was like, fine, I guess. Like he didn't really like the guy, but he had just insisted on it so much that he was like, whatever, just get it done with, whatever, make these patches. And then they got like 5 patches, you know, like you're gonna straight up bug an artist like that to do something, and then you're just gonna take all of the profit, all of the, you know, the glory, for lack of better terms, for it, and then just totally screw them over. And that kind of stuff just really bugs me.
Yeah.
And so there's
a lot of that goes on.
Oh yeah. And that was one of the things at the onset whenever I was starting to do patches. I was like, I'm doing this for somebody else. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for somebody else. So I got to make sure that they're taken care of.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, because we're talking about Eternal Champion, let's talk about this album cover you worked on.
Okay,
since we're on the topic.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Their newest record they put out, Ravening Iron, which
greatest metal album.
Listeners,
of all
You could
time.
say it's a top heavy album.
If you have not,
this album
listened to
jumps
this record,
out at you.
must. Yeah, you must listen to this record. Eternal Champion are destined for great things, and they've already achieved great things.
They're already there.
Yeah, they're already there. But you did some work on this album cover,
Yes.
the layout of this album design. So tell us a bit about that.
So on slide 16, we have on the left side is the album cover that everyone knows and loves, or at least should love. Whenever that, at this point, I was already pretty tight with the band, and Jason was like, "Bro, we got Ken Kelly," and I was like, "You got who?" He's like, "We got Ken Kelly to the art," and I was like, mind-boggling, just like, it's insane to think about, you know, because like Man of War is a big influence on Jason and Eternal Champion. I love Man of War. All the dudes in the band love Man of War, and just everything about it. All the Ken Kelly like Conan books that he's done, like all of that art is super ingrained in what Eternal Champion is. So to have like Ken Kelly grace their album cover is just it's
closing
And
the loop.
this was their piece.
You know.
Like he did this for them.
yes, this is a 100% commissioned piece.
Dude, that's awesome.
And so the scene depicted on the cover is from Jason's book, The Godblade. This is an actual, like, these are characters that he created. The dragon is this ancient god, and the lady in the front is a sorceress type. And so this is an actual 100% scene that he created. It's not even like a reference to anybody else. This is his own stuff. And so it's Ken Kelly
cool.
interpreting his imagination, basically. And so,
I mean, how else do you interpret boner magic?
yeah.
I mean, this guy did Kiss.
Yeah, Kiss Destroyer.
Destroyer. That's a big deal.
That is
That is
Rainbow
a notch
Rising.
in the belt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, so like once I was just totally blown away, obviously, that they got Ken Kelly, and then the fact that I was going to be able to even like work around the Ken Kelly piece. I
Yeah,
was like,
dude.
You know, giddy little schoolgirl. And so working with this was interesting because the way that that Ken Kelly crafted this masterpiece is really interesting as far as shape goes, because it works really well by itself. Like the triangle of the throne, all of the placement is like, it's super freaking rad, but it's really hard to work around. And so it took me I wouldn't say a long time. It took me a few tries to like figure out what would be the best layout, because one of the things that's like one of the obvious spots where you could put it, if you're looking at it, would be on the floor,
Right.
kind of in the bottom left corner. But of course, he put his signature right there, which
Right.
which
I'm
is
just
fine.
gonna cover up. No big deal.
I'm gonna
Just-
take up this real estate with my name, which I can't.
I'm gonna put
you know,
Greylord over there.
Yeah, which I love that he signed it, and I love that we had to put his signature on the cover because it's such an iconic thing. And so trying to figure that out was kind of a weird patch. one of the first drafts that I did is the one on the right with the silver, the really easy line border, and this was 100% first draft, and I intended this to be a very first draft. This was not anywhere near what I wanted to put, but I was getting the idea out there.
It's got that steel going for it.
Yeah, metallic logo.
Yeah,
cool.
At the time, they were still going back and forth on the album title, so you're going to see a couple different things pop up.
Yeah.
In the Glare of My Steel was one of the early contenders for the album title, and so I wanted to sell that silver, the steel,
nice,
cold, like just vibe, and so that was one of the first ones. I just threw it together because I was like, I would like the idea of a border. It takes everything out of the painting, and we can work with it. And at the time, they weren't 100% sold on it, so I continued to mess around. On slide 17, you'll get to one where another name change. A Face in the Glare was another possible title.
I like this one. It looks like the cover. It looks like the cover of a Pulp Fiction book.
Totally.
That is exactly what was in my mind.
It's got that hammered bronze look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I wanted to do, was kind of like sell that, especially with the way, if they were going to call it a Face in the Glare, I wanted that kind of glare, that shimmery.
Yeah.
And funny you mentioned the pulp book. I actually did like a 6x9 edit of this album cover to make it look like a book cover.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. I'll send it to you guys. I'm hoping to get it done as a poster at some point. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
It's got the price barcode like on the side.
Yes.
Oh,
it's got it's got like, I forgot what it says. It's got one of those like Daring Tales of Adventure like type tags on it.
Yeah,
that's so
tagline.
cool.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty cool. And then like I put like on the bottom it says like featuring art by Ken Kelly, like all the stuff that really sells those like pulp like novels. Like, so I like the way it turned out. So this one is when I first was like, okay, we wanted to try putting the titles in the image itself, and I was like, all right, cool, but I still wanted to have kind of like a border. This was actually like one of the later versions. I had a couple that were just the name and the title in there. I played with them in the bottom corner. I played putting them both in the top. I tried making the small name, and nothing was really like, nothing was vibing right. Everything looked like good but off. And so then we get on to the next image, which is back to the kind of silvery look with the In the Glare of My Steel, and that's whenever I did the extra indentation on like the corners of the border.
I like that. I thought the indentation was a cool fix.
I took that. I'll be completely honest. I kind of ripped that off of a book. There's a series called Gore, G-O-R.
Oh yeah, John Gorman.
Yeah, John Gorman. And so like there's a one of the pressings, it has like this type of border where it's like 3-color, and it runs into the title, and it's got kind of like a reverse version of this where the corners kind of like smush into each other.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that exactly, but that was the kind of vibe that I was going with, and so I was like, let me bring it in some, give it that kind of like pulp, like that fiction, that sword and sorcery vibe, and so that was one of the ones that I did. That was one we played with. There was a couple versions where the title was on the outside, and then we had to work with centering issues because we're dealing not only with one border, but we're dealing with a second black border around it, which...
Damn, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it scales the image down, because if you're looking at like a record, that's a 12 by 12. And so whenever you're adding that extra layer of black, you're making the art a little bit smaller. And so that was something that I was a little worried about, because I was like, I want the art to be the art. Like I want it to be big and bad.
Yeah, give as much real estate to Ken Kelly as you can.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was something we played with, and then that idea was the first time that I was talking to Jason and Arthur about this quite a lot, and they were like, okay, we like where this is going. And then from then it was trying to figure out color combos. If we look at slide 18, that's one of the alternates that got done. I had some that instead of like red, yellow, red, it was yellow, red, yellow. I tried kind of like a blue and silvery kind of vibe on some of them.
You know what they say? Red on yellow.
Kill a fella.
Yeah. I gotta say on this on slide 18, this
Yeah.
deep red, I kind of love it.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with me with that one is that it's a little too deep, where it falls into the painting too much, and so
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
Yep.
and it just looked a little too awkward.
Yep.
And so, like I said, there was a couple different versions we went through. Obviously, the final, which was on slide 16, has the nice yellow. We shrunk the logo down just a little bit in order to give the Ken Kelly more real estate, and then we all decided that Ravening Iron was the title to go with, which I think
It looks like you muted the
good.
yellow too.
Yeah, a couple of them. There's definitely a couple different shades of yellow going in a lot of the drafts. Like on 17, it's a little more of like that shimmery orange,
Yeah.
and so I went with the yellow, and I think the yellow and the red helps pop with the dragon.
Yeah.
In the painting, everything else kind of gave it too much of a muted. Like all the silvers and stuff was nice, but it was bringing out the wrong parts of the painting for me. And like, whenever you're doing something like this again, through this layout, I'm representing Ken Kelly. I have to make Ken Kelly's artwork look good, and it's like, tell me that's not nerve wracking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's got it. Yeah, I mean, for me, like the different color changes throughout the different iterations almost changed the temperature in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so, yeah, for me, I think, I mean, you said this earlier, right? And this is a good microcosm of design. You said balance. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
100%.
That's something that's really cool, is that we so often, just in this show, over the course of the show, we find a lot of people that's art by and design by. And a lot of times we kind of just pass over the design.
Yeah.
And we're like, that guy probably just, I don't know. He probably, who knows what he did? It's all about this guy.
Yeah.
But
which, I mean, like, in my case, it's all about Ken Kelly. Like, I did some cool stuff,
man,
but
because
for me, it's
here's
all
the
about
thing.
Ken Kelly.
Would this be the album cover without your stuff on top of it? I don't know if it would.
Yeah.
I mean, to be totally honest, not even just to like jerk you around, but there just even from this small bit of conversation, there's so much care and thought that went into this, and it actually brings out the painting a lot more than if you had just thrown the logo in the corner.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
I think. Yeah, well, I mean, the design, it's huge, and it's cool actually getting to hear the design, the designer side of things.
Yeah, and we don't always give a ton of time to it, but if the cover's the portal, someone's got to build the scaffolding, someone's got to build the portal,
frame,
someone's got to lay the stones and stuff like that to see the beautiful artwork on the other side.
Awesome.
Well, and it's like you said, I love that you were saying, you're like, how can you, not make, Ken Kelly's piece necessarily better, but how can you put this band on top of it while still representing the artist and the band? And like, that's such a task. And I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, this was like draft number 42 or something like that. Yeah, it got up there. And like, and that's, to me, that's a credit. I know, like I said, I'm not a designer by trade. If I told some other people that do like design,
are now.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not trained in anything, and I know that like some designers, because I've listened to conversations with them and stuff, and it's like, if they're given their like handful of ideas, and the person doesn't like them, then they're done. Like, they're not gonna go past draft 4 or something like that, because then it takes away from them. But like with me, like I said, like, I'm trying to make the band happy, and so I don't care.
Right.
I don't care how many drafts that I go through, as long as the final product is something that looks good and it like makes the band happy, and that's all I care about.
Well, yeah, as someone who who does commissions, I mean, the absolute above the money for me, like getting paid, is that the band is happy with the final product, or the person's like, when they see it and they're blown away by it, or that the money's nice, of course, and you're getting paid for your work, but just having the person you're trying to help craft their world, you
Yeah.
know, with them. Like they're happy with it. That's the best part.
Yeah, and like even with since I'm doing this as like more of a hobby, most of the bands that I work with, I tell them straight up, I'm like, if you give me like a shirt and a copy of the album, I'm good. Like, I don't care. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
it's a nice easy thing because like for me, I like sitting here and just messing with stuff, and it's part of like the creative process like we've been talking about, and just having like that time to like sit and put this together. And at the end of the day, if I open that album up, it says my name in it. And I spent however many hours I spent. I sat here at my computer listening to music, which is something I probably would have been doing anyways. And I just happened to be putting out content like this. And it's like, you know, it feels good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's rewarding.
Yeah.
You make patches.
Yep.
You design album covers, and you're a musician as well.
Yes.
So let's dive in quickly into the Ice Files. Tell us a bit about your project here.
Oh yeah, because you did the cover for this too, and I'm really curious because you have folks. You'll see we're on slide 14 and 15. You've got a lot of the bits, but I'm really curious as to how these fit together.
Yeah. Okay, so on slide 15, you see the artwork by itself in the bottom left, and that's from my buddy Jared, who does Brazen Idol. So Brazen Idol Design, it's all inks. And he does a really cool job. Yeah. And so like I gave him one idea. I was like, I want a cracked helmet. It needs to say 432 on it, and I want this ethereal looking dude coming out of it, and maybe a wizard. And that's all I gave him. And then he gave me that, and I was like, bro, this is the coolest
That's what
thing I've
happens,
ever
folks,
seen.
when you let someone run. That's what happens when you let them run.
And so he totally annihilated that. Like we talked about the story earlier on the collage slide, so I won't go into it much more. But like this is a visual representation of this astronaut who's ascending because he drank moon water, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and the way that he put the wizard inside the visor, and if you look like really closely, he's got like a water pitcher in his hand, and like, oh man. It's so cool. Like,
did you order the combo number 2?
Yeah. I've got this
We
picture
don't have
of
the spicy ketchup on the
Got
moon.
the spicy ketchup, moon ketchup.
Moon ketchup. And so
How does this
your second
barbarian scroll fit into?
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that.
So I think it was in like a Facebook group or whatever for like Sword and Sorcery, and I came upon this barbarian scroll, and I was like, this is the coolest looking magazine I've ever seen. So I did some research on it, and it was a fan-made magazine in the 80s who got into some legal trouble for the artwork and the names that they were using. But like, if you look, I love one of my favorite things. I collect all kinds of stuff. I mean, I collect books. I collect comic books, and it's like the covers are one of the most appealing things, and that's part of the where I get a lot of my design ideas from is from looking at book covers and comic
Covers
books and
are
stuff like that.
important. You heard it here.
Covers are the most important thing. And so I found this, and this design just struck me. I was like, this is so cool. Because I like it whenever you have a border, but then everything's coming out of the border. But this shape, I was just like fascinated with it. And after I got the art, I was like, oh, I know what I got to do. And so I created the album cover, or the single cover, which is on slide 14 on the left. That's the shape of the barbarian scroll.
Right.
Oh, the keyhole.
Yeah.
So like,
Dude, that's such a small piece, but such a cool thing to be like, dude, look at this shape. You're a shape guy, man.
Yeah,
You're a
I love
shape-
shapes.
And just
I love it.
borders. Just thinking about different borders.
Yeah. And so that's he threw that in. He did the logo. I just put the logo over it. I did all the, like I said, the layout is easy. That's all the stuff I do. And then like the title at the bottom. I played with a couple different versions where the title was actually under the logo, and it was taking up too much space. I liked that dead space, and so I put at the bottom. Just keep it on the bottom, and make it nice and smooth. And then over to the right of that is like it's a picture of me and Mike, the drummer for Ice Files.
Best band pick ever.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I like I like making full package deals regardless if I'm just doing like a digital release. And so I like the idea of, even if I'm not going to put this on a CD or a 7-inch or whatever, I like the idea of making it because I like I said, all the design stuff. So I made this insert basically for the digital single. And so it's it's just a little presentation.
So cool.
These are more references to the moon stuff. That the picture that I pulled the astronaut suits of are from Buzz Aldrin and Armstrong.
Yep.
I had to take Mike out of the middle, which is really funny because like we're both named Mike, and then I took the one Mike that went to the Mike Collins. I took Mike Collins out of it, and we're the guys that were actually on the moon. But so this is just something
the
I
right
put together.
Mike.
Yeah, it's just kind of humorous for me. And so everything here, trying to figure out how to do all the placement where the lyrics are underneath the picture, and then all the credits are on the side over here. And then if you look, this is a nice, really a thing that I don't think a lot of people noticed. Faintly in the background, you can kind of see some differences in colors. And that is a picture of the first step on the moon. You can if you look on the bottom right corner,
I see it.
You can see the boot print a little bit. And so it's super faded because I wanted to keep it nice and white, but I was like, this has to be there. And so that's actually the boot print picture.
That's such an awesome Easter egg, man. And I gotta say,
I put Easter eggs in everything.
we can tell just by you're looking at your. I gotta look at your jackets a little closer now.
Yeah. there's always
border on this.
Small.
The analog keys and things like that on the border. The border's made up of all the little control panels.
That's the control panel from the lunar lander. Sorry, that's an actual picture of the control panel.
Yeah. It says reaction control, system controls on the top there. That's so cool. Cool details.
And then you designed the logo, right?
No, my buddy who did the artwork, he drew that logo out.
Okay, that's awesome. I love it because it's got that hip hop flair to it.
It's got
a little bit, you know.
So it's got a little bit of hip hop, and then it's got this like. To me, that looks like somebody hand drew that in the 80s for their Sorcery magazine.
Yeah.
Like, that's the vibe, man.
Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the vibe.
Text,
that's it.
Yeah.
And so like it's not perfect lines. They're like a little rough if you scroll into them. It's all hand shaded and like he killed
stippled
it.
and stuff like that.
It. And he actually sent me the original, and so I have
that was Brazen Idol.
Yeah, Brazen Idol. He's on Instagram and Facebook. Really cool stuff. He did I did a black metal project. He did the artwork for that as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that called?
It's called Stone Chamber.
Stone Chamber. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta check that
out. So many hats.
Yeah.
Right. So many hats.
Or
bandanas.
I listen to too many things.
That's never a bad thing. And speaking of hats, if we go down to slide 19, one of our final slides here, DMR books is something that we are all like really interested in. You designed this layout for this novel.
Yes.
The Godblade.
Except for
Godblade.
My additions were a little more minimal on this particular one. I've done a lot of DMR books. I've done. I can't
really?
Even, yeah, I've done about 15 or 20 maybe. I can't remember the exact number. So Brian LeBlanc is the guy that did the artwork for this one. An absolutely gorgeous piece, which is
incredible. Yeah. It's incredible.
I love it. He's got one of the best styles around right now. And then DMR actually got someone else to commission this the logo for the J. Christopher Tarpey and the Godblade. So someone else did that for him, and that got placed on there. And then the back is mainly where a lot of my touches came into play. Normally, I do all of the logo pickings. Like, I'll find the correct good fonts that work for it. Different layouts. This one is a little more. I don't want to say plain, but because of the front cover looks amazing. But I've done some border work. I like a lot of the border stuff. I like, especially because I'm looking at all the old Sword and Sorcery novels that
Where
are
are my
sitting on my
shapes?
shelf.
I want my shapes.
Yeah, shapes.
Let me put a
shapes are my
triangle in
favorite.
there.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about the Triangle Ice File shirt, but that's fine. And so we got permission from Ken Kelly to put the Ravening Iron album cover on the back because, like I said, that takes place in the book itself.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that was a fun one to play with because I'm also, again, playing with a triangle here, as you can see. With the
I was about to say, you still snuck one in there, you dog.
Yeah. And so playing with this one was kind of fun. This is probably the most unique back that I've done so far, working with the words and making a shape that kind of fits and keeping everything spaced out enough that it looks aesthetically pleasing.
Well, I love how it tumbles down with the skulls,
Yeah.
It really fits down there well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
How did you get hooked up with DMR? Are they a pretty kind of...
Yeah, Dave runs it. It's like DMRs are basically like his initials. It's his books.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he runs everything. He started with Swords of Steel. That wasn't his start, but he got kind of like into prominence with the Swords of Steel collections, which are short stories written by metal musicians.
Yeah.
So Jason from Eternal Champion has a story in there. Jeff from Gatekeeper has a story. E.C. Hellwell's in it. Byron Roberts from Balsa Goth, he's got a story. Like, he's got a collection of stuff. And he approached me, funny enough, for patches.
Oh, that's awesome.
He wanted to do some patches for the Swords of Steel book. Because the first book is the one that sold the most. And so I did a patch for him just to sell as a shop. And that was where I first did like a first kind of any kind of design for him. And then from there, he was like, hey, would you be willing to do some book covers? And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, book covers? Like, that's
dude,
like
that's
next
so
level.
Cool. Right.
Like, how does this even work? Because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm involved with so many of this stuff. And so that's just like another really just awesome, super, I'm very honored to like have any part to do with the production of a book. Yeah. And so like I've got my name in like 20 books right now. And it's
that's
like
so
it's just like a really cool feeling.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like it's so nuts.
Well, it's cool too because when you put this up here, there's another artist named Lauren Gornick.
Oh yeah, she's done a couple of the book covers.
Yeah, she has, and I found her because of these DMR covers and some of her albums and stuff. And so that got me interested in DMR, and then I saw you put this stuff up there, and I was like, man, that's so cool. Like, these sort of, I love this era of, punk, guerrilla, underground publishing.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Just these people just supporting each other, And
yeah, I mean,
it's so cool.
There's people out there who still want paper books. And like, I see more and more people like, you're reading a book. Like, I read constantly on my breaks at work and, at home. And it's like, people are moving more and more towards Kindles and things like that. Yeah. And that's just blasphemy to me. Like, I won't have anything to do with that whatsoever.
You can't touch the art. You can't smell the art.
I have like all these ideas about publishing things, and people are like, no one buys published books anymore. Like,
all you have to do is sell 100 of them.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
Yeah,
and
that
with
seems
the internet,
to be the magic number.
Yeah. With the internet, you can reach so many more people that are willing to pay shipping. Like this type of stuff, without the internet, it wouldn't be around, obviously.
Yeah.
And so anybody, you don't have to, like, music is a good example. You don't have to have a scene in your local town who's boosting you up for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
As long as you have 500 people around the world who are willing to buy your cassette, you can do it.
That's right.
And
that's
all you need.
Interesting thought. That's an interesting thought that something so modern as the internet, which you would think would bring the death of print, is actually been able to create an avenue to revive it.
100%. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm seeing things like zines pop up again. I mean, like there's always been zines, but like I feel like they went away for a while. Maybe I was looking in the wrong places, but now I'm seeing zines for this and zines for that. I'm like, it's kind of an exciting time, really.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, it's because like we've just talked about, really anyone can get in on that,
Yeah.
If you have, the skills, or if you know the people, or I don't know what it is, but you out there listening,
Yes.
no matter what you think your skills are or skills you don't have, you never know until you make some
GIMP
send
is
some
free.
emails.
Yeah.
GIMP is free.
Just make sure it's good. At the end of the day, make sure it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's it.
quality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, like I like that cool barbarian one. Like I wish that was in my collection, and that is photocopied and that is stapled.
Exactly.
And I want that. I want that.
Yeah. How cool is the barbarian scroll? I mean, that is prime name.
It's
right
amazing.
there.
Yeah, and you can see from the photocopy where he put down like the font stickers or whatever.
Yeah.
There's like a little edge around the words. Like
So
I love
good.
that. Those artifacts from the creation.
Totally.
So at this point, we just want to open it up for you to shout out to anyone.
Yes.
You want
Where
to,
doth the Greylord ride?
Yeah. What's next
future
for you?
projects, whatever.
So I guess immediate major shout outs right now would definitely be Vidar for turning me on to you guys.
And likewise,
I love Vidar. He's one of my favorite
love that
people.
man.
And he
that
was
was a
like,
good time.
"Hey, I'm doing this. I did this interview with. I talk to him like almost on a daily basis, and he was like, I just did this podcast interview with this group called Cover Decoder, and I was like, oh, cool, Cover Decoder. That sounds cool. And I'm getting pumped because I'm like, I don't want to ask Vidar all the questions because I'm not going to boggle him down, but I'm really happy when other people get to ask all the questions.
Yeah.
Especially when it has to do with his art and all that kind of stuff. And so shout out to him. And then it turns out like I followed all of your guys' like separate accounts already. And it's
Dude, that's awesome.
It's the funniest thing. Like all your guys' arts is so killer. And I was like, I know all of these people that are on the show. How did I not know about the show? So it's a funny thing. So
There's a web.
Yeah.
The projects are many. Yeah.
And then obviously shout out Eternal Champion and Jason. They've helped me the most out of everything. That's really helped get my name out there.
That's cool.
I would not have been able to do any of this without them. They're my favorite people and band, so that's a great plus.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten to make
quick.
a weapon with them?
Yeah.
Actually, not a weapon, but I did make a necklace for my wife with Jason down in his forge.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was
So-
yeah.
Listeners, just so you know,
I do have a couple axes from him though.
Yeah, the singer from this band, which even if you're not in the metal, check out Eternal Champion. They will get you into metal.
Yeah.
The singer forges. He lives his brand.
Yep.
He forges the sword.
Swords and axes and pendants. And I believe he has his own Instagram, which is really cool.
Yeah, he's got his own Instagram. Cyclopean Steel is where he posts
Cyclopean
everything.
Steel.
He has an Etsy shop where you can actually order stuff to get made. He doesn't have like a surplus, so there's like a wait time. But if you're ordering from his Etsy page, he usually cranks it out pretty quickly.
Oh, I need some chainmail underwear.
Yeah.
Do you know any other metal band where the singer literally forges weapons?
I don't.
I don't.
I don't.
No.
And then is able to write a novel about the stories that he's telling in his heavy metal. Yeah.
Here's my only gripe. We need a metal craft site because saying check out my Etsy hurts. It hurts. It hurts to say, hey, if you like my forge, you can go buy a sword off of Etsy. Yeah. And then I have to say like, hey, where'd you get that? Oh, I got it from this website. It's called this. They make crafts and stuff. So any programmers out there, make a metal craft selling site and call it something like Barbarian Scroll or Barbarian
Forge.
Goods.
Yeah, or the Pouch of
Forge.
Holding. Pouchofholding.com.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The Eternal
yeah,
Flame. Something
Yes.
like that. Next thing, the big project that is public right now, I'm trying to write and finish up the Ice Files LP.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
I did the demo, which is there's a lot in that cover. I won't really get into it because I'll just boggle your mind with weird numbers and stuff. But I'm working on the new one. I have a really cool person in mind for the artwork. Hopefully I can get them. Hopefully that comes out by the end of the year at some point.
Yes.
I got to finish writing. At the same time, I'm also writing for another unannounced epic metal project for the moment. So I'm finally going to... all I listen to is like epic metal and stuff. And then so I'm finally actually going to try to put it out. hopefully that's going to be coming at some point. There'll probably be announcements soon.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And then just messing around, try to do some other stuff. Stone Chamber, like I mentioned, is my little black metal thing. Hopefully, I have like a split kind of lined up to work with somebody with. Hopefully that can work out if I can get back in the black metal mood. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Is this all? This is all on Bandcamp? People
Yes.
can find all this stuff. We'll put links in. But,
Icefilesbandcamp.com and then stonechamber.bandcamp.com. And then
are you making any more patches?
Not right now. I won't be producing any of my own just because I'm also a full-time student. I'm almost done being a full-time student because I work as well. So my schedule is very hectic.
Yeah, you're a busy man.
It keeps me sane. But the next
As
thing,
a tear rolls down the cheek.
Yeah.
one of the big things that I do work with Sword Worship, which is the Eternal Champion label, the one they started.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
technically an employee, I guess, and so you'll see some more Eternal Champion patch designs hopefully pop up pretty soon. I've got a really cool one. I'm just waiting to unveil. Like
All right.
I did it, and I'm just like I'm jazzed on it. I'm like, oh, this is the coolest looking thing. So yeah, hopefully some more stuff with that, and then just wherever that label takes, since it's a multi-person thing, it's a lot easier where I can just sit at my computer whenever I have time and do designs, and then they have to take care of everything else. Yeah, so go from there. I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram or wherever,
Which you'll see. Any of you who listen, you will follow Mike Greylord.
Get the flavors.
You'll see announcements for sure. Hopefully, like I said, sometime soon. Especially the Epic Metal, we should be rolling out with a name. Hopefully, do some type of unveiling.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, well, congratulations on all this stuff.
I appreciate it.
Past, present, and future.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you, man. Again,
Yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah, we haven't had any design people who've done some design of their own and whatnot, but it's really cool to actually get, an in-depth perspective from someone who's doing it honestly with a passion just for the love of it.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not sitting in your bungalow, so we know that you're doing it because you love these guys.
Yeah,
And,
your art will be cared for when you pass it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yep. Well, we love that and we appreciate it. We will talk to you again.
I would love to be back on the show if you ever need me.
we do.
Just putting that out there. If anything else comes out, if you just want a goofy guest for a week, I'll talk about anything.
It will
absolutely.
happen.
We'll take you up on that offer.
Sounds good.
Yep.
We got some cover battle ideas coming up.
Ooh, oh shit. Okay, you might not want me on that one. I might get a little too heated.
Oh no, that's what I want.
Yeah,
We want the heat.
we need the power nerds.
Yeah. If you want to do battles, and that's okay. I'm game. Just let me know.
All right,
Mike. Well, you continue to forge the sword, and we shall do it as well every day.
For sure.
All right, man. Pleasure talking to you.
All right.
I don't know about you guys, but I want to go get my little spool of thread. I want to get my thimble. I want to put on the never-ending story.
And I want spicy ketchup.
Yeah.
I want some spicy ketchup.
I want to stitch some patches onto my jacket right now. Turn around.
Stitch up what you see.
Yeah.
On your vest.
If you couldn't tell, what an amazing guy.
What we learned today. Well, shoot. What didn't we learn today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
We learn there are bucket list patches. We learn the difference between what is a good patch, what is a poor patch.
Yes.
We learn about how much is reasonable to spend on a patch.
Patch types, the type
Woven
of patches,
Patch type.
shapes.
Screen print, back
right.
patches.
And not to mention some awesome stories.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So many great
Awesome
that
stories.
was the best part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and as you could hear from the interview, Mike Greylord is just a standout individual. He cares, he's not in it for the money. He's in it to support the artists and literally to support the art. He is the ultimate cover warrior, folks. He is the eternal champion of cover art. And just what a thing to do for people to just have this thing you like to do and contact people and say, hey, I just love what you guys are doing and I want to support you. And
That's right.
This is what I want to do. And
he's the Samwise Gamgee. He's carrying
all
the art
he will
up,
share
the,
the
up the
load.
mountain on his vest. I can carry you. I can stitch you. Go on that quest with him. Check him out on Instagram. He's at Mike Greylord. You're gonna like what you see. You're gonna check out all the collages. You're gonna wanna get those sheets coming out next Christmas.
Get his sheets. You better have sheets, Mike. I know you're listening.
You just got to get all the rights to that art. But as soon as we make this happen, we're going to be coating our beds in Conan. He does Ice Files. He's Metalstrom Records. He's just got so much going on.
He is the talent.
We were privy to some projects that are coming out that, salivating already. Can't wait.
They're coming. Oh.
So if you just got done with this episode and you're looking at your vests like I am that don't have anything on them,
Well, then I'm gonna put on my jacket.
They don't look sexy. They look so there's not any bulk on your vest. You can start by getting a patch from your neighborhood cover decoders.
That's right.
That's right. Because in Patreon. Because if you sign up for Patreon in May, we're doing a special event, Matreon. You're going to get a free patch. And those of you who are already signed up with us, our cultists, our longtime listeners, helping us out every month, you're already going to get a patch. But yes, if you sign up, you get a beautiful, exclusive cover decoder patch.
Exclusive.
Not only that, folks. Not only that, but for Matreon, we are doing only Patreon member covers.
That's
so
right.
You guys out there listening, send us your covers. You're getting a patch no matter what, but 2 people will get original art.
Ooh.
You will be getting original art from our very own Inkaloni from the Fantasy February episodes to you folks.
Not only will we be your private detectives hunting down all those covers that you sent us, trying to figure out, hey, what's going on with this? Why is this?
Why the hell did you send me this?
Yeah.
Why'd you send me this?
We'll be your personal detectives, but we'll also reward you with a little envelope underneath your doorstep there, pal. Yeah. Little envelope. It's gonna have some original art in it. And
$2, send us a leather-clad anus, and you might get free art. Come on.
So you can search for us at patreon.com. We are on Instagram at Cover Decoder, and we have a link tree. When you look in the bio there's a link to a link tree, and that link tree, again, Patreon, our website at coverdecoder.com, and finally our Gmail, coverdecoder.com at Gmail, where you can send us your covers, which we will hunt down. And finally, as you come down from this Greylord high, remember, if you like what you see, why don't you wear it?
Oh! Yeah!